Grand Rising family, check in. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Welcome to the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. We got some things to talk about, so come on, check in. Let us know who you are and where you're hailing from. Get you something to drink and let's talk in just a few minutes. Come on. We'll be back shortly.
Dr. Kia Pruitt, shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
Hey, Soul Tribe. It's so good to see everybody. Happy Friday, or as we say on the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show, happy Friday. Yay! Hello, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy holy day to the Moors. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all our Christian friends. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy winter solstice. Happy Friday. Happy New Day. We are so blessed and honored that we are alive today. When we wake up, we should always say, thank you. Thank you that I have life in my body. So I'm so grateful that we're all living to see this beautiful new day. Welcome, family. Keep checking in. I see so many people from all over the world already. Let me know if you can hear me, family. I just want to check to make sure that's the case, that you can hear me. I'm so grateful for everybody. Happy Friday. And just while I'm thinking about it, some of you sent me Christmas gifts and a blessing at my Cash App. Thank you so much. Or you called me or you sent me email or text. So I just want to say thank you. I'm going to get this out of the way because I want to just give you acknowledgement. Thank you to Kay Lewis so much. She said, Dr. Kia, I'm very sorry about your loss, because she knows that recently I had a passing in the family. But thank you so much, Sister Kay. Also, Sister Lisa says, thank you, Dr. Kia. You're welcome. It's my great pleasure to serve the Soul family. Tamika says, blessings. After the live, I enjoyed the live so much. So we did a live about 2 days ago. You're welcome. It's my great pleasure. Sister Valerie, she is from BF Accounting, says, thanks for all that you do. You're welcome. Brother Terrell Smith, thank you. Wow. He said, it's happening. It's happening live. And I bought my silver at only $28. You're welcome. Sister Jamie, was that brother? Oh, Sister Jamie, and then Brother Jermaine sent a gift. And somebody said, Jermaine says, grateful for all you do. Sister Lou sent me a Cash App. Thank you so much. Andrea says, this is a donation. I'm so honored, you guys. I love you all. Sister Yolanda says, hello, and thank you for all you do. It is my great pleasure to serve you all. So family, thank you for the Christmas gifts, the donations, the Cash Apps, $ Mama Kia 13, MAMAKIA 13. Max, beautiful Max Ministry Chief is always taking care of the Soul Tribe, covering us in prayer, telling us where to get our currencies. And he sent a donation again. Sister Juanita sent, wow, $50. Thank you so much. You're so awesome. Kazia sent a blessing. Sister Linda says, y'all on fire. Thank you, sister. She said, I love ya. Beautiful Max Ministry Chief Mac also sent another gift. Simply Love says, thanks for all that you do. I'm honored. Michael says, Christmas. This is a Christmas gift from me, my wife, and my daughter. Thank you. Isaiah sent something as well, saying thank you. You all are wonderful. Tony sent a blessing, a Cash App blessing, a donation. Dina says, thanks for the great information. You guys are welcome. I am just so honored to serve you all. You're wonderful to me. So keep checking in, family. I love you all so much. This is a beautiful time to be alive. So people were saying something's going to happen on Christmas. You can hear me. Okay, something's going to happen. You know, watch the markets, watch. And I've been watching and reading and, listening to different people, different economists. Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to turn off this light. It looks a little bright. I can't help the sunlight, but this one light here in the background, I'm going to turn off to make sure you guys can see me. But people have a tendency to doubt, what they hear some podcasters and economists say. And I get that. But I would just encourage us to not just automatically assume nothing happens. Okay. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Because people say, seeing is believing. I'll believe it when I see it. But some people say, I'll see it when I believe it. I'll see it with my own eyes once I know something that's going to happen. Because when you're positive and you have an abundance mindset, you're always looking for the good, the joy, the good news. So you have people like Bo Polly, I think that's his name, who is a prophet or Christian man who projects what's going to happen in the news. You have economists, you have like Peter Schiff. He's been telling people to buy gold for decades, right? And then you have people like Mark Z and Maria Nicole, Chief Matt, Dr. Kia Pruitt, and there are others out there that podcast the news. Please forgive me, I don't watch a lot of people that talk about like the global currency reset and revaluation. So I don't know all the people that are out there. And I love everybody. I just don't have time. I'm raising grandchildren. I'm, starting a school and partially homeschooling at home. I'm studying, I'm reading. I'm also a teacher. I'm a researcher. I'm just really busy. But family, something in fact did happen on Christmas. Something in fact did happen between the 21st and today, the 26th. So today is Friday, December the 26th, 2025, and the time is 12:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, what happened between the 21st and yesterday is that banks were meeting. Now, just because we don't know that banks were meeting doesn't mean it didn't happen. So when people say something's going to happen, it's usually because either they're a prophet or they, spirit wakes them up in the middle of the night, or they've been researching and studying, or they're in the know like economists. So banks met while we were sleeping, and they had to decide what to do because their contracts were being called in. And when the contracts are being called in, and people are like, I want my silver and gold that I lent to you, whether it's a country or a government, they have to do something right away. And they're panicking. This is why people have been saying, pay attention to the markets. When you see bankers panic, it's usually because they don't have the gold and the silver that's in the reserves that they claim to have. And so when these banks and countries are calling in their contracts saying, I'm ready now, I lent you this, I'm ready to get my gold back, my silver back, and the banks don't have it, or at least they don't have it readily available, they start to get worried. And so at the same time that was happening, when these banks were meeting and they were saying, oh my God, what we're going to do, you had other governments and central banks behind the scenes they've been accumulating gold and silver. Okay. So you have them just continuously buying up silver. And then you have people like you and me, and people that are also turning it, they're rolling over their 401ks into gold or silver. That's getting gold and silver off of the markets. So now they have gold and silver in their hands. So you got people buying up gold and silver. And meanwhile, you have these bankers who are supposed to be giving the people who are calling in their contracts panicking because they don't have it. Now, I have a video of an economist in my private group that explains explicitly what's happening and why banks are panicking. When we met on our private group call last Saturday, one of the members in the group said, get your silver right now. She said it's going to happen. Economists are saying that the contracts are being called in. And when the contracts are being called in, the people, they can't honor those contracts. So something serious is going to happen. Now, it's possible that this was just all people just talking and saying nothing's going to happen, but something in fact happened. What happened while these banks are meeting and they're panicking and saying, what are we going to do with the silver and gold that these people lent to us and we can't give it back to them, is that overnight while we slept, silver crept up. Gold went up too. So silver and gold, just last night, silver was $72. When I woke up, it was 75. Then it went to 76. Now it's almost $70 an ounce. So people can say all day long, nothing happened, but in fact, something did happen. So if you want to see what was discussed during that bankers call, I showed a video here in my private group here, this video here, Silver Soared While You Slept. And you have someone that comes on that talks about exactly what happened when the banks met, why the banks are panicking, why people are calling in their contracts, and how that affects us now. So this is here. This is the video here. I'll put it in the chat for you to look at on your spare time or in your leisure. I just put it right here in the chat. You can also join a membership group if you desire. No pressure. That's only if you desire to. And I'll put that in the chat for you as well, how you can join a membership group. You can go to any video that you desire, including this one, and hit the join button, or you can click on this link right here. Here in the membership group, we just talk about private investments that nobody's discussing or talking about. We talk about silver, gold, how you can use gold backs and silver right now to barter or to trade or to buy local goods and services. And we just do some talking about things that we don't put outward because, you know, everybody's not ready for the information. And then sometimes we get censored. So a few years ago, when I was telling everybody, get silver, get gold, I would get censored. I would get my channels flagged and my channels removed, possibly because they just weren't ready for people to get silver and gold. But another reason is the more silver and gold we get as people that are just accumulating and creating our own private banks, the more the government loses its power and control. So the government can control you when you're using the United States dollar, which is their currency. But if you're controlling your own monetary system or creating your own monetary system by having silver and gold in hand or on your person or in your vaults or whatever. The government doesn't know how much you have. The government cannot control the value of the silver and gold. And the government just has no power because they can't control prices or anything like that. So this is why we say get silver and gold. Now, did anything happen on Christmas? Absolutely. The silver and gold prices went up as bankers met and they were panicking. Somebody can put in the description section, thank you, why you think silver and gold soared. I say it's because that bankers met and they're panicking. And somebody had told us that there's a possibility that the banks could collapse. Now we know that banks have been closing and collapsing, but they were saying, get your money out of the banks. You have some people saying, get your money out of banks. Then you have some people saying you don't have to get your money out of banks because the money that's in the banks that's protected through the quantum financial system. But I say use your own discernment. Why I say that is because economists have been saying at $75 per ounce, the system would break, that they could no longer control the silver and gold prices once silver broke $75. Well, that happened in the middle of the night, early in the morning when we woke up, silver was at $75. And economists are saying that it is likely that silver will reach and soar to $100 per ounce. Alexander says you should join a private group because the private group has a lot of perks in terms of the information that we learn. Silver and gold is not a wealth transfer, Andy says. Most working poor families don't owe silver and gold. Just people that are already wealthy have a Merry Christmas. That's not true. I'm not very wealthy. I'm not very wealthy. I'm wealthy in spirit. I'm wealthy in and abundant in joy, but I'm not a very wealthy person. People were saying what you said right now, Andy, when silver was at $14 per ounce. In 2017, silver was at $14 per ounce. And I got on my podcast and told people then, buy 1 ounce of silver, even if that's all you can afford, 1 ounce of silver, because the more people get 1 ounce of silver, if 9 billion people get 1 ounce of silver, we will collapse the government and the fiat banking system just that alone. But I said, you can even get 1 ounce of silver per month. If people did what I said in 2014 and bought 1 ounce of silver per month, do you know the return they can get on their investment today? Now that silver is higher, now that silver is at $76.34. In 2017, silver was $14 an ounce. By 2018, there was a dip just for a day that silver went down to $11 and then to $10.29. And right away, I was like, hurry up, get it. And then it went right back up to $14. I'll say it again. In 2017, thank you for the Cash App blessings. I hear you. 2017, silver was $14 per ounce. And I was telling people to get it then. So you don't have to be wealthy, but I do hear what you're saying. Let me stop for a minute. Yes, gold is, let's look at the silver and gold prices. So what happened again during Christmas? Banks were meeting to decide what they're going to do because they knew they could not bring in or cash in those contracts that were about to be called in. Again, go to my private group and you're hearing economists actually break down what those meetings said at the bankers meeting and why they were panicking. And this is why Bo Polony and some other people were saying the system is going to break at $75 per ounce and silver is going to soar. Silver was $72 last night when I went to sleep. It was 75 by the time I woke up. Then it started going 75 and it's sent, a little bit at a time. One of my friends texted me and said silver is $76, $77. So he must be looking at silver futures prices. Look at how it climbs while we're watching it. Silver, $76.37 an ounce. It went up $4.47. This is why we have to stop saying, I can't afford. Poor people. There's a lot of poor people. You need to stop selling hope, blah, blah, blah. Because when you stop saying what I can't do and asking yourself, how can I? Your brain starts to open up to opportunities. And the moment you make up your mind, the universe conspires to assist you. Look at how gold is just increasing as I'm speaking. Gold is $4,516.27 per ounce, and it went up $36.74. Now, I do get it. When you look at your budget, you might be like, so somebody look at this. It's silverprice.org, or you can go to goldprice.org and keep paying attention because the prices are going to keep going up while we speak. So if it's not in your budget, you look at your budget and you say, Pruitt, listen, I hear what you're saying, but I just don't have it when I look at my budget. Okay. I want you to consider silver jewelry, 14 karat, 24 karat, right? 10 karat even, it's still silver. Consider sterling silver, like sterling silver utensils, sterling silver, just things, period. Sterling silver is 92% silver. Consider junk silver, which are constitutional coins. Now, it's really constitutional silver, but they try to trick our minds with the words. Words cast spells. So if you say it's junk silver, people think, oh, that's just junk. I don't need it, right? Just like they do with your cars. Oh, bring me your junk. Bring me your cars. Bring me your computers. Bring me your refrigerator, stove, microwave, oven. Oh, we'll trade it in, or we'll just give you a little cash, because they know your computers have silver, your cell phones have silver, your microwave ovens have silver, your refrigerator, your stove, your washer and dryer, your jewelry has silver. You can get sterling silver or silver jewelry. You can get gold. I don't have a gold. I'll get a gold Arum note in a minute. Gold Arum notes or gold backs, when I first started talking about them, were $1. $1. Now they're up to $8. What is a gold back? A gold back or a gold Arum note is 24 karat gold pressed onto a note. 24 karat gold that you can now use to buy local goods and services. When I was trying to tell people about this in 2017, they didn't call them gold backs then. They called them gold Arum notes, AURUM. Some people listen, but a lot of people are like, oh, that's just fake. It's not real. And I said, just because you don't know that this is real money doesn't mean it's not. Okay. Because I realized when I was living in Ghana in 2014 that European gold miners were there. Chinese gold miners were there buying up gold in Ghana, and Ghana is called the Gold Coast. So in 2014, I was like, something is going on with gold. Why are all the Chinese here? Why do I see Lebanese here and different European nations here and big Ashanti, what is it called? Euro Ashanti gold. Why are they here? Well, in 2014, I happened to stumble upon a book called Africa is China's second continent, 2014. And so as I looked into that, and I knew that China had been a superpower before, I said, they're trying to enrich themselves. Everything wasn't clicking, but look at the book. Africa is China's second continent. And then as I began to do my research over time, I stumbled upon gold backs or gold Arum notes. And this is what they look like right here. At that time in 2014, when I was living in Ghana, there were only 13 states that had repealed the taxes from the sales of precious metals. And what that meant was those 13 states had legalized silver and gold as legal tender. So 13 states had gold backs, and this is what they look like. And I started talking about it in 2014. Still, it wasn't clicking until, sometime later that we were moving towards the gold standard. At that time, only 13 states would legalize silver and gold as legal tender, meaning you can buy local goods and services in those states. The gold backs were like $1. Now for one gold back is $8.98. But can you see how gold is affordable if you have $8.98? Can you see how gold was affordable if back then you had only bought gold at $1? And again, a gold Arum note is 24 karat gold pressed onto a note. I am an affiliate with Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. So if you want to get some gold and silver at a very reasonable price, the best prices in the industry, and I've done my research, I only promote what I study and what I understand and understand. Precious metals is not only a metal, not only a jewelry, but it is lawful money. According to our Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, the only thing that can be used as money is silver and gold, and the only thing that can be used to pay off debt is silver and gold. The dollar constitutionally is defined as a fixed weight in silver and a fixed weight in gold. It doesn't matter that the United States Incorporated, who incorporated themselves in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization with the Pope over it, calling themselves the government, that fake entity. It doesn't matter that they have paper fiat, the US dollar. They call it USD or US dollar. Okay. That is what's collapsing. Silver and gold does not collapse. It maintains its value and it increases in value. And the basic economic principle is, as the United States dollar decreases in value, silver and gold increase in value. It always maintains its value. So if you want to go to an online dealer that has a great reputation, been in business for over 40 years, you can contact my personal affiliate, Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, at 952-929-7006, or you can send them an email at info@milesfranklin.com. INFO at symbol MILESFRANKLIN.com. And you can thank Dr. Kia Pruitt, because before you could only send email, and people like me were like asking the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, Andy, can we get that number out? Can we have and he said, because they had an older number, a different number. He said, well, at that time, people usually only email gold companies. But I was saying my audience is going to feel more comfortable talking to somebody and saying, look, I only have a certain amount and this is how much I want to spend. What do you recommend? And my people want to talk to people and say, can you explain to me why the gold and silver prices are going up? Or do you understand or understand what's going on geopolitically? So help me figure out what's happening. Or do you have a gold IRA, so that if I have an IRA, I can roll it over into a gold IRA and get some of that gold and silver into my possession. So that's why now, for over the last couple of years, we do have a number, 952-929-7006. But if you're more comfortable sending an email, info@milesfranklin.com, they will then send you a list of their inventory with their prices, and they have the best prices in the industry. I've already checked. I've even gone to my local dealer, which I really encourage you to establish relationships with your local dealer, to talk to them and to get some things. But I noticed one time, one of my clients that I took with me saved $300 by going to Miles Franklin. I said, okay, you have a certain amount of money you want to spend at the local dealer. That's perfect. That's great. Let's talk to them, see how much it costs. And then call Miles Franklin. And when they called Miles Franklin, they was like, I'm saving $300. Maybe it was because they had more silver and gold. But your local dealer has to have a higher price to do business, right? Because they don't have a whole lot of inventory like online dealers. They may not have a direct connection to a wholesaler. But let me tell you something, family. Not only are governments and central banks calling in their gold that they lent to other central banks, okay, they're calling it in saying, I want my silver and gold that I lent to you. So now banks they're getting nervous, like, because some of them don't have the silver and gold. So those banks will collapse, okay? But not only are they calling in their gold and silver, but everyday people are also getting gold and silver as they're watching the United States dollar lose value. So when you call in and you say, I want my silver, or you go purchase silver and gold, then what's happening is the banks know and the government know that people are now empowering themselves. So go ahead and get you some silver and gold, family, from Miles Franklin, 952-929-7006, or send an email at info@milesfranklin.com and let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, because mentioning an affiliate's name does ensure you get the best prices. And you can have it delivered right to your home, or you can have it delivered to some place like FedEx, UPS store, someplace like that. because all the gold and silver that you get from, or precious metals you get from precious metals companies, should be insured. At Miles Franklin, it definitely is insured. But if you don't want to deliver it to your door, you can actually go to one of those places like FedEx or the UPS store and show your ID so that the person that's handing over your gold and silver to you knows this is you picking up your gold and silver. So again, banks did meet, family, and they said the economists are saying they're panicking, because what's going to happen if they don't have the gold and silver that now other central banks and governments are saying I need back, that I lent to you, then those banks will collapse, and that's going to further affect or impact the silver and gold price. So economists told us that the system will break at $75. What's that going to look like? I'm not going to predict what that's going to look like, but what I would say is if you can get silver and gold, get some. If it's not in your budget, it's okay. It's really okay. Hold on to what you have. Your catalytic convertible, is it converter or convertible, has silver and platinum or palladium in it. Your microwave oven, your stove, your refrigerator, all your appliances have silver and gold. Do you know they're going to use silver and gold in technology like solar panels? They're going to use, let's see, what will silver be used for? A lot of that advanced technology, family, like the med beds, that's going to require silver. What else? Some of the cars that are coming out now, they're going to require silver. And speaking of cars, let me just bring you up this website right quick. So what's up with silver? A lot of people know that it's a precious metal, and it will continue to increase alongside gold. But most economists say silver will outperform gold. And at some point, that while silver and gold now has a ratio, like the gold to silver ratio might be like 75-1. At some point, as silver outperforms gold, it will go all the way to 30-1, and then to 3-1, which is more normal, is natural. In biblical times, it was 3-1, the gold to silver ratio, meaning it would take 3 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold, instead of today where it takes about 75 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. So as we see that ratio decrease, then you will be able to get 1 ounce of silver for 1 ounce of gold, because economists are saying it's natural for it to be the gold to silver ratio to be 3-1, 3 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. But many people are saying that they've been suppressing silver so long, and there's so many uses for silver, and silver is more rare than gold, then the ratio will be 1-1, and you'll be able to buy 1 ounce, take 1 ounce of silver and buy 1 ounce of gold. So this article says silver doesn't always get the glory and attention that gold does, but it remains one of the most useful precious metals in the world. For example, they use it for solar technology, electronics, soldering and brazing, engine bearings, medicine. Yes, because we have silver receptors in our brain. That's why some people were taking colloidal silver during the shutdown, because they know that it addresses the virus. And if you take it and it's in your system, even though everybody's getting sick around you, you're less likely to get that ailments and colds and things like that. So they use it for medicine. They use it in cars, water purification, jewelry, tableware, and your precious metals portfolio. Silver is practically used for everything, or almost everything, and everywhere. In 2018, the global demand for silver increased for the first time since 2015, rising 4% to 1.03 billion ounces, according to the Silver Institute. Let's see, some of the step up demands came as a result of heightened interest rates in the silver bars, and heightened interest in silver bars and bullion coins as wealth building assets. So what can you use silver for? Or what are we using silver for? Cars, solar technology, electronics, soldering and brazing, engine bearings, medicine, water purification, jewelry, tableware, and for your precious metals portfolio, and so much more. There are other articles that you can look at, family. So As I was speaking, silver just went up a little bit more. Silver is now $76.54. Gold is $4,518 according to that particular website. But let me look and see on another website. Whoa, nope, it went up. Gosh, did silver just go up, family, as I was talking? Somebody write down what it is right now. Hold on. Silver at the top, gold $4,536.50, silver $76.77. Let me go here. Wow. So it just keeps going up, family. Now, you have central banks and governments were accumulating silver and gold in record numbers starting from 2018 until today. Not only have they been accumulating gold, but again, people are getting into gold. And in the meantime, what was happening behind the scenes, I told you as of 2014, there were 11 states that had legalized silver and gold as legal tender, meaning you could use silver and gold to purchase local goods and services. Well, now in 2025, there are 46 states that now have legalized silver and gold as legal tender. The way they did that was that these state legislatures passed bills to remove the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. When you remove the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals, you are acknowledging that silver and gold are money. So a lot of people didn't know this was what was happening, but I've been reporting on that as well over the years. And I kept saying, pay attention. At the time, there were no articles out there that supported my claim, but I was researching different states because I'm a researcher. I do have a doctorate degree. And when you have a doctorate degree, a doctorate of philosophy, mine is in education and counseling psychology, but I also have an economics background and a political science background. And as you come up through higher education, you cannot, it's hard for you to reach the doctoral level if you don't do research to support your claims. You have to do research to study and to pass your studies, and you have to triangulate, meaning find 3 sources at least that align with each other and affirm what you're stating. So in my I know that from my doctoral studies, you have to bring some proof to what you're saying. But I was reading the proof in various different articles. This state passed this legislation or this bill, that state, and I was trying to bring it all together. But recently, the Sound Money Defense League, thank God, published an article that said the same thing that I'm saying. Here they say state laws can help restore gold and silver as money. And it talks about how they did that. And then down at the bottom, you can click on your state to see if your state has legalized using silver and gold as legal tender. So again, I'll put that in the comments section. When I first started reporting this in 2014, there were only 13 states, like 13 colonies, that allowed for silver and gold to be used as legal tender, meaning back then you could buy local goods and services with silver and gold. And I kept telling people, just because you don't hear about it and just because mainstream media isn't talking about it doesn't mean it's not true. Why do you think they keep censoring me? I kept trying to tell them that. And then it got to the point in 2022, I read an article from Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, where David Schechtman, Andy Schechtman, who is now the CEO, his father that started the company, started telling everybody, hurry up, get some gold and silver now. Millionaires and billionaires are getting into gold and silver. In fact, a billionaire called Miles Franklin and got $50,000. Was it $50,000? I think it was $50,000. No, it wasn't $50,000. How much? They got so much in so many ounces of gold and so many ounces of silver. I can't remember how much, but it was a billionaire. And they had taken so much silver and gold out at that time of the company that they had to, go and find more silver and gold. So David Schechtman, the founder of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, and I have the information here on the screen, said, get silver and gold now. And as I was reading his article from the newsletter, YouTube cut me off, and I had no idea. I was just talking and talking. Get silver and gold now. This is how much it was. It was a lot lower than this. Is how much? And get it from Miles Franklin at 952-929-7006, or send an email at info@milesfranklin.com. Tell them Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. They have the best prices in the industry, A+ rating. I'm just going in. No customer complaints. Been in business for over 35 years. Family-owned business. All the brokers have geopolitical knowledge. They're all highly educated. They can tell you anything you need about geopolitics and what as it relates to gold and silver. And Andy would come, he's going to come back on my show. I'm just going in talking. And then I start getting texts and emails. Thank you for the Cash App, family. I appreciate you. Then I start getting calls and texts like, we can't hear you, Kia. What's going on, Dr. Kia? And I checked and saw that YouTube had taken down my channel, and they took it down for several months, almost a year, because I was talking about gold and silver. They said that I was causing conspiracy theory. I was perpetuating conspiracy theories, causing conspiracies, and inciting violence. Could it be because they don't want the everyday average person to have silver and gold? Could it be that the more silver and gold we accumulate, the more power we have, the more empowered we become? Could it be because the more silver and gold we have, the less the government can track you and control you? Could it be that the more silver and gold we have as everyday people, the less value the dollar has? Because again, as the dollar decreases in value, United States dollar, the fiat decreases in value, silver and gold increase in value. Silver and gold maintain their value. They hold their value. You can use silver and gold right now to buy local goods and services and other things like houses, like cars. In my private group, believe it or not, I did a whole video on the companies as of date that are registered to accept silver and gold as money, because all merchants really, they know that silver and gold are the only thing that's supposed to be used to purchase local goods and services. They know that silver and gold is money. But in my private group, I literally tell people, because, and this is a legitimate website that I got it from, which companies are registered to accept silver and gold right now. In Florida, we legalized this earlier this year to use silver and gold as money. And I've been talking about it for years before Florida agreed to do this. My sister called me yesterday. She was like, I know you're happy because you've been talking about this for years. And finally, Florida legalized silver and gold to be used as legal tender. And Florida is also stating that they're no longer doing property taxes. And Florida is also perpetuating or promoting gold in our state. Your state will catch up. And again, if you look at that article by the Sound Money Defense League that I showed you, and I'll put it in the description section, you can click on your state to see how far along your state has come. You can click on your state to see if they have repealed the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. This is my private group you can join, where we talk about which states legalize silver and gold as money, which merchants accept silver and gold as money. And on the website that I show you, you can also see how much your gold back is worth, your gold RM note. So if you buy one gold RM note today, it's $8 and some cent. When I first published a video in my membership group, it was only $6, and it's already over a few months. A gold back has gone up for $2, over $2. So again, I'm going to answer your question. To date, 46 states have repealed the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. What that means is that they are agreeing with the Constitution that you can't tax money. It's constitutionally wrong and treasonous to tax money. But when they took the government, fake government, the United States Incorporated, which by the way is now bankrupt and closed for the most part, when they took us off the gold standard, family, they told everybody to bring in their gold, to come on, to give me your gold, and they gave us a receipt. That was the United States dollar. They tricked everybody into doing that. And they also told everybody silver and gold were relics, and they were no longer used. They were outdated after they tricked everybody into turning in over their gold and silver. When you have gold and silver, you're acknowledging your sovereignty, that you stand on your own. You have reign, rule, and control of your own life. That's what sovereignty means. Sov, over, reign, rule and control over your own life. You have sovereignty over your money. You have sovereignty over your estate. You have sovereignty over your persons. You have sovereignty over your own banking system. Well, the United States Incorporated told people, turn in your gold, give us your, they didn't say it like this, though, give us all your wealth. We'll give you a receipt, United States dollar. And at some point, you'll be able to trade it back in for your gold and silver. But when people went back for the gold and silver, guess what? It wasn't there. That's what's happening in the banking system right now with the companies and countries calling in their gold and silver. It's not there. Allegedly. Some banks just don't have it. So those banks were closed and collapsed. And some people are saying that's going to affect the markets. So they told people to bring in your silver and gold. Then they said silver and gold were no longer money, but the United States dollar, that receipt, that fiat is now money. They also said that now that they did this, gold and silver were to be deemed as a commodity, like a collectible. Well, why did they do that? They did that because you can tax commodities like trading cards, like artifacts, like art. You can tax commodities, but you cannot tax gold and silver. It's unlawful, unconstitutional. It's treasonous. They committed treason by having us to turn over our gold and silver to them. Everybody used gold and silver back in the day. That was the standard, to use gold and silver as money. Or even the half dollars and the dimes, and they were real silver and gold, and the penny, it was real copper. It's no longer real copper. You got to watch my recent video I did with Chief Rod Hayes, and he talks about why they're taking out the copper penny out of circulation and how that relates to the indigenous tribes, indigenous people here on the planet, here in the Americas and on the planet. But I'll put that in my comment section as well, in the description section. But they taxed silver and gold. They called it a collectible or a commodity. Stay with me, family. I'm going to give you some hope if it's not in your portfolio or it's not in your budget to get. They taxed it. So what the states are doing now, what they've been doing over the last recent years, is by removing the taxes from the sales of precious metals. They repealed it. They all agreed no longer can you tax it. How can they do this except that the republic has been restored behind the scenes? See, the states have more power. The local level has more power than the federal government, because the federal government, the United States Incorporated, only has the power that the people give it. As long as we abide by their rules, they have power. But if you operate at the state level, the Constitution says that the states have more power than any other entity. So the states, hold on, my family is calling me. I hope everything's okay. So I'm sorry, the states removed the state sales taxes from precious metals. Thus, they are acknowledging silver and gold as money. Remember Basel III compliances, when people were saying every bank has to be Basel compliant by 2018? What they were saying was all the banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset. That meant that banks now had to recognize gold as money, because previously, once we had been taken off the gold standard and the silver standard, the banks will recognize the United States dollar or USD fiat as money. But banks had to become Basel III compliant, recognizing gold as a tier 1 asset. Now gold is money. A lot of people didn't know that the second part of Basel III compliancy was that banks had to also have in their reserves tier 2 assets. What are tier 2 assets? Somebody put it in the comment section. What are tier 2 assets? Somebody says silver is going to hit 5,000 an ounce. I agree. Copper is going to be worth a fortune when gold runs out. I have 15 pounds coming. Better get you some copper too. A lot of people aren't talking about copper. I found some as low as $2.49. And copper, when I first started looking at it, was 89 cents. Yes, Foreign reserves is foreign currency. Thank you for that. Who is that? Cameron. Foreign reserves is foreign currency. Absolutely. So banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset, and they had to have in their reserves they had to have tier 2 assets, foreign currencies, or also known as foreign reserve notes. I did a video, might be in my membership group only section though, that says banks met globally and discussed that they're prepared now for foreign currency exchanges. So Basel III compliance, again, banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset. Banks had to recognize and have in their reserves tier 2 assets, meaning foreign currencies. And the reason why they had to have those 2 assets is because they had to have that in order to protect their banks against any type of foreseeable collapse or economic hardships. So banks are already prepared for your current foreign currency exchanges. Let me see if I can find the video that I did on that. They're already ready. So when these states met, and the states all passed legislation to repeal or remove the state sales taxes from precious metals, they were acknowledging silver and gold as money. They were aligning with the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, to say the only thing you can use or be used to pay off debts is silver and gold. And the only thing that can be used as money is silver and gold. But the reason why this legislatures passed laws or passed statutes, codes, and bills is because they were using the deep state's methods of doing things against them. So the deep state can say, I don't care about the Constitution saying that the only thing can be used as silver and gold as money. The dollar is defined as a fixed weight in silver or a fixed weight in gold. The deep state, the United States Incorporated, was like, we're going to continue to do things our own way. So you have state legislatures that were saying, we're going to use our power to actually pass bills, which y'all pass bills, United States government. We're going to use your methodology against you, and we're going to vote on a bill to remove sales taxes from the sales of precious metals, and that will then, just by virtue of it not being taxed, align with the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, that says the only thing can be used as for to pay our debt or as money is silver and gold. So they use the deep state's tools against them, just like President Donald Trump is using executive orders against them. Executive orders to confiscate their money, executive orders to figure out who is committing crimes against humanity. Trump is using executive orders to create the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, to downsize the government and to determine what's going on with United States aid. Did the money that we had earmarked for these foreign countries to help them during weather problems or hurricanes and to help them get food, is that money really going there? President Trump used executive orders, which is their way of doing things. The deep state, Illuminati, fake government, United States Incorporated, used their methodology and their system, their tool against them. Created the Department of Government Efficiency, found out that U.S. aid was not going to these foreign countries. That's why they're still third world or development, but third world, and found out that this money was only 1% went to those countries. 99% went in the pockets of these people that's controlling the government. So President Trump is using the executive orders against them, and the states are also using their tools, the deep state's tools, bills, passing legislation. And then that way they're aligning with the Constitution that says the only thing that can be used as money is silver and gold. This is why Zero Hedge published an article that says the world is hurtling back to silver and gold as money. Was it Zero Hedge? No, King's World. King's World. Not only because once you pass bills to make legal silver and gold legal tender, our people are going to start waking up. But also you see the dollar, United States dollar, losing value. Also, you see states and central banks and governments from all over the world dropping the dollar and rushing to silver and gold. So King's World did a phenomenal job on February the 16th, 2023. And I happened to catch that article when it came out. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that the Most High called me for this job. I happened to catch it in 2023 in February and read it when it first was hot off the press. But I have been saying the world is rushing back to gold and silver since 2014. But I should have written it down, you know that. But King's World published this article. The world is hurtling back toward gold as money. And they mentioned Russia and Asia and how they and the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have coalesced against the United States Incorporated. And as a result, the article didn't say this, but I'm saying it. And Andy Schectman from Precious Metals confirmed this when he came on my podcast. I'll have to put that podcast back up. That in 2020, by 2022, 85% of the global population had joined BRICS. 85% of the global population had joined the BRICS the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition. 85% of the global population had joined BRICS. And then you had that block, and then you have the Shanghai Cooperation organizations, the Asian nations that had another whole union. All of these entities decided to stop trading with the United States dollar. And that agreement is called Project Sandman. Project Sandman was a secret agreement between 209 nations to, behind the scenes, when triggered, stop trading with the dollar, the United States dollar, and use their own local currencies backed by gold for trade. In 2022, when Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa said, you know what, we're going to make a move and we're going to do it now, they did it because they were triggered. Remember, 209 nations agreed that when triggered, they would stop trading with the dollar. The trigger was Vladimir Putin declaring war against Ukraine. When he did that, he knew it would upset Joseph Biden and all the deep state members because they were using the underground tunnels in Ukraine to do a lot of nefarious activities. So when Vladimir Putin went to war with Ukraine, plus Ukraine used to be a part of the Soviet Union anyway, so he's bringing them back under his auspices, so they say. When he did that in 2022, Vladimir Putin upset and triggered Biden. Well, at the same time, you had, you had, I can't think of the name of the entity, House Oversight Committee, saying that they were going to publish information against Biden. So Biden was really worried. He was really fretting, or whoever was under the Biden mask. He's like, you got the House Oversight Committee saying they got evidence against me. You got Vladimir Putin discovering that I have some nefarious activity going on in the deep underground military bases in Ukraine. I got to do something. If you go to Google Oversight Committee, House Oversight Committee, or is it oversight.house.gov or something like that, type in Biden, you'll see all the evidence that was discovered against Biden. But he got triggered. He was worried. So he put sanctions on Vladimir Putin for declaring war in Ukraine, which then incited Putin to say, you can put sanctions on me all you want. Biden said nobody can do business with you. You can't use the dollar for trade. We're going to handle you. Whatever sanctions he put on Vladimir Putin for declaring war and finding all this information out against Biden and the deep state that was going on in Ukraine, along with labs and stuff to make people sick, for depopulation agendas, trafficking going on, all kind of stuff Vladimir Putin discovered. So Biden put sanctions on him. And then when he did that, Vladimir Putin went to the BRICS bloc. He went to the BRICS conference, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and said, let's all align with me and stop trading with the United States dollar. And we will systematically collapse the United States dollar and the United States Incorporated banking system. Once he did that in 2022, the Russian ruble became the strongest performing currency in the world. Let me see if I can find that. Y'all know I got stuff to back me up in the world. So he didn't stop there. The best performing currency. Oh, is it still the best? It's still the best performing currency in 2025. This is the most recent one. You guys Google the strongest performing currency in the world in 2022. You'll find it. But the most recent article here is that the ruble, where is it? Let me see. You know those ads pop up. You see how they got a copper penny over here? They just trying to tell us something. The Russian ruble surged 44% against the United dollar in 2025, becoming the world's best performing currency, being only beaten by gold. Ooh-wee. The Russian ruble surged 44% against the dollar in 2025, becoming the world's best performing currency, being only beaten by gold and silver 159% prices amongst the major traded commodities, the Bell reported on December 24th. That was Christmas Eve. People keep saying nothing happened around Christmas. Really? Because you just got to know where to look. So this was reported around Christmas or Christmas Eve. The appreciation, which took the exchange rate from 103 to the ruble being 79 per dollar in less than 12 months, has occurred in defiance and conventional economic indicators amid international sanctions, failing oil reserves, and continued war in Ukraine. I told you the war in Ukraine was significant. It was a turning point. It was the trigger. Putin told all these nations in the BRICS bloc, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, stopped trading with the dollar. His ruble started climbing. It became the strongest performing currency in the world in 2022. Then something else significant happened. That was Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. Saudi Arabia joined BRICS in 2022. A lot of people didn't know that. That was huge. Then BRICS became known as Sal BRICS. Then other nations started joining. Why was it significant and key for Saudi Arabia to join BRICS? Because what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency was that the United States Incorporated had an agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect their kingdom, the Saudi kingdom, in exchange for oil. And then they would force all nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia only and using the United States dollar. That's what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency. That's what gave the United States Incorporated financial and economic hegemony. That's what made the United States government the powerhouse that it was. So when people say that America is collapsing, the people are collapsing. No, the United States Incorporated, their government is collapsing because they have financial and economic hegemony, but they are not the real government. They are not the republic. They have no blood right to the land. They have no right to tell other nations what to do or to force them to use the United States dollar. So what gave the dollar, the world reserve currency status, and what made the United States Incorporated have financial and economic hegemony and gave the dollar this strength that it had was all nations were using the United States dollar, or they were pegging their currency to the United States dollar for trade and to get things, oil from Saudi Arabia. Well, when Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, that should have made people say, ding, 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 wake up. Now the dollar is going to completely collapse. That was 2022. After all the money printing had occurred in 2020 with the global shutdown, after all the stimulus checks, after all the PPP loans, after all the stuff was going on, 2022 was 2 years later. Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. That ended the agreement between the United States Incorporated and Saudi Arabia to force other nations to use the dollar to get oil from Saudi Arabia using the dollar and making them peg their own currency to the dollar. I did report that in 2022, and that's probably why I've had 9 channels completely erased. I've been censored on YouTube, Rumble even. People say, oh, Rumble, that's a more conservative. It's a conservative platform, but they still censor you now. They took almost a year to pay me out. They only pay me pennies per video, and it's okay. X, Twitter, even though now it's owned by Elon Musk, will not allow me to be monetized, even told me I can never get monetized, even after Elon Musk came over there. They don't want the people to know the information, and they only want certain people to tell the information, like, I guess certain economists, I don't know who would, but they certainly don't want the little so-called regular people to know. I've been censored on Facebook, all that. LinkedIn. Who would have thought LinkedIn? Twitter, TikTok. I've had so many accounts taken off TikTok, but God is good. The creator and source know that we need this information. They know my heart is good, and now everything's back up and I'm allowed to talk without being cut off in the middle of my speeches. I'm I'm not being called a conspiracy theorist anymore now that other people are coming on and saying this, years later. But it's okay. You knew it was the truth. I knew it was true that all this was happening because we've done our due diligence, right? We've done the research, and we know that God sends us signs and symbols. So when Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, that collapsed the United States dollar. That was Saudi BRICS, and then other nations started joining. That's when 85% of the global population became part of BRICS. And then you had the Shanghai Corporation. So you had all these entities saying, we're against the United States dollar. So you had some people like economists and others that were like, oh, they're against the West and America is falling. America's going to completely crash. No, America, the landmass, and we, the people, we are not the same as the United States Incorporated. They are entities that incorporated themselves in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization. They're a part of secret societies. They're the Illuminati, the deep state, the cabal. They don't care about us. They enslaved all people here, the Americans, the indigenous people, the other people, the naturalized people, the citizens, everybody here they oppress. And their reach is extended across the whole globe. But you know what happened is that we have ancestors that have returned. We have entities. Some people believe in extraterrestrial. I don't know. I just know they have ships in the skies that they're saying the drones in the skies that's the size of whole ships that's hovering around military bases, making sure the nuclear weapons don't go off. I just know they got ships that people are seeing now. So I don't know who's in those ships, but God, source, creator, ancestors, extraterrestrials, whoever, interterrestrials, whoever you see, the military, somebody has come back to liberate humanity. And that's our job here as well, to help encourage the soul family. Now, what's happening is that the United States Incorporated, those bloodline families, those entities, they are collapsing. Their dollar, their USD is collapsing. But behind the scenes, you have the military, and I published my video of me reading Motu Proprio, which was a letter that Pope Francis sent President Obama in 2014 saying, it's over for us. It's over for you, Obama, and all presidents that are not president of the Republic, but they're presidents of the United States Incorporated. It's over for banks. It's over for attorneys because they're not real lawyers. They don't promote the law. They don't stand for the law. They attorney for the people who we consider slaves and dead and lost at sea. That's why you're whispering in a courtroom. That's why you're told to all rise because you're dead. And they're resurrecting you just to have that court proceeding. That's why the judge wears black, because he's performing a seance or a funeral. Because according to maritime law and admiralty law, dead at sea, lost at sea, and you're dead. So you have an attorney to attorney for you, to speak on your behalf. You have judges who are not real lawful constitutional judges, but they're administrators over your trust because they look and oversee your trust, and they access the trust every time they haul you into court or put you in handcuffs and hail you off to jail. So Pope Francis said in 2014 in his letter, Motu Proprio, please look at my video that I did, Motu Proprio, where I'm reading the letter. He said it's over for the United States Incorporated. It's over for attorneys and judges or administrators. He said it's over for policy enforcers, or what he called police officers. He said it's over for a lot of people and entities that work with the United States Incorporated, which is not the lawful republic. And we need to stand down, because our time is up, and the people are going to find out that we enslave African Americans, not enslaved, but we use them as chattel property, African Americans, to pay off the debts. He didn't say why, because the African Americans are indigenous to the land and they are the prisoners of war. But he said in his letter, first we use the African Americans, then we use all people and citizens to pay off our debts. So people are waking up, he said, and our time has come to an end. I read that letter that he promoted or published in 2014. Here's that article, that video right here. Pope Francis says the United States is collapsing. And I put here, Dr. Kia Pruitt reads Motu Proprio, read his letter. So Pope Francis told everybody what's going to happen. And he said, if we don't stand down, Grand Army of the Republic will be formed, with General Ham as the head of the Grand Army of the Republic. And the Grand Army Republic will take down the government, United States Incorporated. So we call them the white hats of the military, but they are systematically destroying the deep state. This is why you need to read a book. I hope I have it here. That says that we are currently under martial law. Where's that book? I don't know oh, here it is. It says we're currently under martial law, and it says when you have rogue factors to come in to commit treason and take over your government, you can form a military to completely collapse their system, because what they've done is treason. This book here is called the United States Department of Defense Law of War Manual. Currently, we are under military occupation, which is why President Trump was it September? President Trump met, was it September? Yes, September the 30th with the leaders of the military and generals and National Guard that he had already deployed here since 2019, because 2020, he knew that we were going to have the COVID that would shut down the world. He released National Guard 2019, 2020, but he met with them publicly September the 30th, between the 29th and 30th, and gave them orders, because we're currently under military operation. People keep saying, when are they going to declare martial law? We've been under martial law. They're systematically collapsing the deep state, or the system known as the United States Incorporated. Okay, so that is what's happening. Thank you so much for sending me a Cash App blessing. So when people say nothing's happening, you have to tell them to know where to look. Open up your mind. Open up your mind, family. Remember, we talked about resignation.info. This is actually something that needs to be updated. See, sorry for no updates is what it said. The people updating this, they said they're extremely busy. Notable resignations. This has been accumulating over time. 14,309 resignations, forced resignations of 13,744 people within almost 10,000 organizations in 171 countries. And this needs to be updated. You'll see people on this list from the World Bank, like David Malpass, from the government of South Africa, like David Mabuza, who's the vice president, YouTube CEO, Susan was on here. You see other police department heads on here, governments, and you see New Zealand, somebody over Netflix. Where was that? Netflix USA, the CEO head, Reed Hastings, the government of Vietnam, the president who's got over the government of Vietnam, FPHUC, I ain't gonna say his name, y'all know what that sounds like. And more, all forced resignations. And in the meantime, you do see arrests going on behind the scenes. And you see, if you look at it, judges, also known as administrators, judges are being arrested because they've been participating with the deep state in their crimes against humanity, handcuffing us, arresting us, sicking their policy enforcers on us, okay? And locking us up and accessing our estate. Also, a lot of these judges were doing things like allowing people that are from other land masses to come in. A lot of immigrants that were committing crimes here, they would let them get off. So or allow them to continue to stay here, even though it had been determined that their visas had expired. So when President Trump took a hard stance against immigration, a lot of judges got nervous, and attorneys, because they were doing the paperwork and processing the paperwork to allow them to stay here, even though they had overstayed their visa, and or they would create the documents that would make it seem like they were legitimate. A lot of them participated in that. As well as, this is something a lot of people don't know, but I know from being a foster parent, some judges, like the ones in Louisville, Kentucky, would create blank forms with their signature on it. And then CPS workers would go get those forms with just the judge's, because they had an agreement, they would get those forms that were already signed by the judge to use against families to say, we have a judge signature that say I can take your child out of your home. It was determined that that was happening in Louisville, Kentucky, and a lot of judges got in trouble. I don't know what happened to them, because CPS workers, child protection agencies that are really unlawful, they were stealing children and from families and had a judge's signature. Judge didn't even see the case, hear the case, nothing. They just had these blank documents with their signature on it, and the CPS worker could fill it in, go to random homes, knock on the door. We have this. That's trafficking. This is why it's a good thing that the Supreme Court of the United States last year overturned the Chevron doctrine, because the Chevron doctrine gave the government, the United States Incorporated, unlimited powers, allowed them to do whatever they wanted to do, and then told them they were the experts. They can create whatever statutes, codes, policies they wanted, and they could stick their policy officers, known as police officers, after you and me. But the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine and determined that all 442 government agencies were unlawful, unconstitutional, and treasonous. And therefore, they must cease to exist. Now, what does that remind you of? They must cease and desist. The letter that Pope Francis wrote in 2014 called Motu Proprio that I read. And that video I just put up was actually an older video, because I've been talking about this for years. They must stand down. So the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine. I'm going to see if I can find that list of 442 organizations that must, it's on my post. If you go to my YouTube channel, 442. You go to the community section, also known as the post, you will see there's some place I put that list up. I don't remember which video it is. Which post it is, but I put a link to it. But I'll just show it to you because it might take me too much time to find that exact post. 442 government agencies we have currently. CPS, CIA. What else? Thank you for the Cash App blessing. Thank you, Jerron. Is it Jerron? Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Thank you. You're so kind. Thank you. And thank you, Kay. So at the time when I first published this, it was 441. Now it's about 442 or 443. It's 444 government agents. They got to stand down. This is why Elon Musk and President Trump created the Department of Government Efficiency to downsize the government. Thank you, Hakeem. I appreciate the Cash App blessing. Thank you so much. This is why they did it, family, because it's their time is up. We're free. We're being liberated. Some people are like, well, every time I see silver and gold go up, I get a little nervous. I'm a little scared that silver and gold are going up because the system is collapsing. Everything attached to it is collapsing. So you can get silver and gold if you have it. If you don't, you can get gold Arum notes, AURUM, or gold backs for as little as $8. You can probably get a half of a gold back for less than that, for like $4 or $6. Or you can get constitutional gold or constitutional silver, which is silver coins that were minted before 1964. They call it junk silver. Go to your local dealer, ask for junk silver or constitutional silver, or call my affiliate, Miles Franklin, 952-929-7006, or send them an email, info@milesfranklin.com. Ask them, what's in your inventory? What do you have now? Or tell them, I have this amount of money I want to spend. What can I get? What do you suggest? I've done that. Family, the system is collapsing. Look, this list of agencies includes each unique federal and quasi-federal unit that has legal authority to publish in the Federal Register. Legal authority. When something is legal, it means it's an alignment with the United States Incorporated, the fake government that incorporated themselves in 1871, that has their own constitution called the Constitution of the United States Incorporated. They're incorporated as a nonprofit religious organization. They don't abide by laws. What's lawful aligns with with the Republic for the United States. What's lawful aligns with the Republic. And we have a constitution that's called the Constitution for the United States, for the Republic of the United States, of nefarious, for good, of the United States Incorporated, statutes, codes, policies, legalities, for the Republic of the United States of America, lawful, for laws, not statutes, codes, policies with policy enforcers or police officers, but laws constitutionally prescribed. abiding by our republic. We have sheriffs. That's why, if you look it up, police departments all across America are closing because they're part of the deep state. Policy enforcers were created to go after slaves. Citizens are slaves. Your citizen, United States Incorporated, sovereign, benevolent republic. What else? Constitution for and laws. Citizens, nefarious, United States Incorporated, deep state, policy enforcers. All across the globe right now, especially in the United States, police departments are closing, and the duties of the police are now being funneled into the sheriff department because only sheriffs can be on the land enforcing the law. Policy enforcers enforce policies. They wear blue and black because you're dead at sea, according to Admiralty law and maritime law. And they wear blue because they consider you dead, yes, but this the laws of the water. That's a part of the United States Incorporated. The sheriffs on this side with the republic or the Constitution for a republic, they wear brown because they represent the laws of the land. So this list of agencies includes each unique federal and quasi-federal unit that has legal authority to publish in the Federal Register and has published in the past, even if it no longer publishes. This ensures all past documents remain indexed and available. 444. It gives a list of all of the government agencies, the Agriculture Department, all those dealing with food and agriculture under that, air quality. It goes all the way down from A to C, C to C's, the Defense Department's here. People have asked me about HOAs. You can Google which department are HRAs under, and you'll see about 5 different, including the Department of Defense, Control, Housing, HOAs. Those are all unlawful. All these 444, somebody need to look up the gematria for 444 and tell us what it is in the comments section. 444 government agencies were determined by the Supreme Court of the United States as treasonous, unlawful, unconstitutional. And this is why President Trump and Elon, he used or tasked Elon Musk to create the Department of Government Efficiency. Then President Trump sent a letter to all the National Guards and told them to meet him at a specific place. He met with them, gave them their marching orders to go ahead and continue to arrest people and be in place because the system was collapsing. Okay. All this is happening because their time is up. These agencies are unlawful. They're not a part of our republic. They were either closed, or the ones that have something that we can use, they will be turned over to the republic. For example, the IRS, their duties, any monetary duties, will go over to the Department of Treasury. Okay. So I know I've said a lot. I don't mean to go off too much, but family, it's over. It's happening. Another thing that happened most recently, and they've been talking about this over 2025, but also like right around Christmas time, I heard a speech by the president of Burkina Faso. The president of Burkina Faso told Venezuelan folk, be encouraged. Don't worry about no military ships even if it comes from America. Be encouraged. Don't worry. Everybody's trying to make you Venezuelan people and the Venezuelan government feel bad or try to force you into doing certain things because you have the most amount of oil that I think let me see how much. The most amount of oil than most countries. Let's see, Venezuela, most amount of oil. Notice certain countries that I'm talking about. Okay, it says lots of oil, little production. Yes, Venezuela has the most amount of oil. They have more oil than Saudi Arabia. I'm going to tell you what the president of Burkina Faso said the other day. Let me share this screen right quick. Just for all the people that are saying nothing happened during Christmas or around Christmas, and everybody, those people are, that's the New York Times. People are lying. So the New York Times, which means that you have to, I have to be a member. But I'm going to show you, there are other articles, but I'm going to show you what the New York Times is saying by just reading it, what Yahoo says about it. They won't even let me see the Yahoo part. Okay. Let me just look. Venezuela. Lots of oil. What that particular article said was Venezuela has more oil than Saudi Arabia. That's the New York Times. I wish I could get that particular article. Hold on, family. Please bear with me. Let me just bring up what I had. I'm gonna stop sharing that. I'm gonna bring up something else. So Burkina Faso told Venezuela, don't even be concerned about Donald Trump. Can you see this right here? This is the New York Times article. You got to subscribe to it. December 5th, 2025, Venezuela sits on more oil than Saudi Arabia, Russia, the United States, and every other country, yet it produces and sells only about 1% of the crude oil that the world is using. Venezuelan oil, the ultimate prize coveted by the United States. Venezuela is sitting on oil, gold, silver, all types of natural resources. But Burkina Faso has gold and Venezuela has oil. So Burkina Faso, the president said, don't worry, Venezuela, you can bypass everybody else by, don't worry about their United States dollar because you can use our gold and we have your oil. And then because I'm a powerful leader in Africa, I'm going to have all of the African nations to get oil from you. Do you know what that's going to do for the Bolivar, the Venezuelan Bolivar Digitalis? He just made another speech right in December. What the Venezuelan currency has been sanctioned. So right now, the Venezuelan currency is worth pennies, but they have the most amount of oil in the world, more than Saudi Arabia, United States, and Russia all together. And African nations are saying, we're going to barter with you. We're going to use our gold to get oil from you. So you're going to bypass the United States Incorporated, who don't care about their little dollars, the United States USDs. Okay. Now, if President Trump has some type of ought or problem with Venezuela, the articles and people in power, mainstream media, are probably going to spin it like he just want to force them to give him their oil. I don't necessarily believe that because America also has oil. We have oil and we have contracts with other nations. But my point is Burkina Faso and other nations are doing business with Venezuela for their oil. The Venezuelan Bolivar Digitalis right now is worth just a little bit of money. Speaking of people that are saying I don't have silver and gold in my budget, you can get some Venezuelan Bolivar and other foreign currencies for just a few dollars. And so you say, Pruitt, I don't have $25 to get this particular Venezuelan Bolivar Digitalis. No, there are some that's going on. I've seen some for $1. Okay. So put in the comment section, family, where people can go to buy current foreign currencies. Venezuelan Bolivar seem real cheap. You guys know Iraq's dinar has been sanctioned. I mean, you guys and gals, family, so family. Other nations that are in the news. Look at the nations that are in the news and make some determination based on how you can prepare for the United States collapsing. Because the United States will collapse, meaning the government, those 444 agencies that were controlling everything, they are going to either completely shut down or their duties will be rolled over into the republic. Now you have a lot of people worried and stressed out about it because we're so used to being dependent upon the government, but the government was never meant to control our daily lives. The government was never supposed. Look at the word government: govern, manage, control, mentality, menche, mind, the control over your mind. Like the Department of Education that miseducates our children and promotes propaganda and hate and lies. Like the mainstream media, like What other governments, FBI, Federal Bureaus of Investigation, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, which actually steals money from us. Those have to go away. But Venezuela having contracts now and agreements with Burkina Faso and other nations that have gold, they're about to do extremely well. So on one hand, another thing President Trump just did around Christmas time was that he's taking a hard stance, not against immigrants and migrants that are here unlawfully, but he is denaturalizing people that have been naturalized through going through certain policies and going through certain rights. He's denaturalizing them. I did a whole video on what that means called It's Happening. He's going after them. So people are worried he's denaturalizing Americans. No, he's not denaturalizing Americans, because you can nationalize yourself all day long. That don't make you American. Naturalization, the naturalization process was a process that was created by the United States Incorporated for themselves and for all the people that they bring over here to take over the landmass and the resources of the American people. Naturalization is an unlawful, unconstitutional process. I don't care if it's legal, if it has policy, statutes, and codes attached to it. I don't care if it's that the government did it. The United States government is not the republic. The United States government is not lawful. That's not a law that you can naturalize. That's a legality. So President Trump going against naturalization is actually undoing what the deep state cabal, Illuminati, United States Incorporated did for themselves and all the people they allowed to come here to steal the resources and utilize the landmass to get what they want accomplished. All this happened around Christmas time for all the people that say, ain't nothing happened between the 21st and 26th. Yeah, it is happening. And I've talked about all that in my video called It's Happening on my YouTube channel. What else is going on? Silver will soar to at least $100 and greater than $100, but at least $100 by January is what economists are saying. And I already said, the more you get silver and gold, the more the government loses its power. The United States Incorporated. Economists are saying that the system breaks at $75, with silver being $75 an ounce. And we know silver is going to continue to increase in value for us because it's used by so many different industries, because it's defined as money and so much more. And because central banks started accumulating silver and gold in record numbers, central banks of different countries. One of the number one countries that's been accumulating gold is China. Of course, America. But I always say, keep your eyes on China, okay? Watch what they're doing. That's why Trump is taking a hard stance against them. He knows who they are. He knows what they've been up to. And he knows their plan is try to rule the world. And we can't let that happen. Here's some more information about, what they're publishing about Venezuela. They're saying Trump's lethal fixation on Venezuela is about oil, not drugs. That's an opinion article. I would think it could be about oil, or it could be about all the drugs that were allowed to come in here, the gang members, the unlawful gang immigrants that came here. And if it's about oil, then y'all know what to do. If you're into investing, Venezuela is about to do real good. So you all tell me, how was your Christmas and what you saw happen around Christmas Day between the 21st and the 26th? Tone says, too many people are becoming aware and rapidly. This is why you sell so many so-called normal people losing their SHIT. We are in a contingency of government, state of governing. Thank you. Who's going to use Colorado as a hub? Tone says, I lived in Japan, and trust me, they are way advanced than the United States in many ways. Thank you. You should have bought more silver. Still get some, because you know what? Silver is increasing in value. Let's see what it is right now. But remember, people said that when it went from $14 to, $17 and then to $30. You know what I'm saying? Silver has more than doubled over the last couple of years. It's still going to increase in value. So get in while you can. And there are other ways you can get into silver and gold. Like if you know about stocks, mining stocks. What? Did y'all see that? Silver just went up to $77.32. Gold is $4,531. So did people lie when they said something is happening during Christmas? Nope, because the banks met. The banks met and they said we got to do something because, you know, the people who loaned us their gold and silver are calling in their contracts. I am bought silver at $65. You're so excited. You're welcome. Japan and China are not playing. They're not. Thank you, Sister Janine. Sister Janine, who is our moderator. Thank you, Sister says, hit them up, family. Hit the like button, family. Subscribe to the subscribe to the channel. Tone says, don't sell out American money to buy foreign currency unless it's closely tied to the United States dollar. That's how we lose our economy. That's their trick. American money is gold and silver. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe you're saying don't use the USD. I'm not sure. American money is gold and silver. The United States dollar is the currency of the United States Incorporated. Get some land. Thank you, Tone. Yes, hard assets, land, silver, gold, copper. Hi, Sherman. It's good to see you. Somebody say it's not over. It's not over till it's over. Okay, one way you can afford silver and gold, maybe Tone says consolidate. Sell what you don't need. So yes, if you are thinking about how can I survive during this economic collapse with all the prices going up and you know, it being hard to live right now, consolidate. You can live in, for those that can, you consolidate, live in one home, or you can consolidate your resources. You can consolidate also, like Tone says, by selling what you don't need. You can sell what you don't need, look around, say, do I really need this? Not really. And then you can use that to pay your bills or to pay off your debt or to get silver and gold or to get foreign currencies. Do what you can, sell what you can. You can also look around and say, do I really need this? And create a budget. What do I need to sustain myself for this month? And make it do. You can do it for the whole month and for the whole year. This is how much I make. What do I need to sustain myself? What are some of the things that I can eliminate or do a little less often? If I get my hair done once every month or every 2 months and it costs, $100, I'm just throwing out a number out there. Can I do it myself, or can I have a family member to do it and save that $100 and get a couple? Back then it was a couple ounces of silver, some silver or some gold arm notes, some gold backs, because you can get about 10, 12, 13, 14, maybe like 14, 13, maybe 13 gold arm notes, which are gold backs, 14 karat gold pressed into a note that you can use right now to buy local goods and services. So look at what you don't need and downsize, consolidate, he said. But put in a chat where they can get foreign currency. Yes, get foreign currencies. Who's that? You can get foreign currencies. Tone says, get a reliable vehicle and keep that tank filled. Right, because we don't know they could shut down the government. Do you all know that they reopened the government for now? But Congress has not passed anything or made any agreements on the budget. They have not agreed to a budget. And since they haven't agreed yet to a budget, the government could very well be shut down again on January 31st. They reopened it, but look at when they reopened the government, right before holiday season. So you can go ahead and have fun with your family and eat up and drink and be merry on Thanksgiving. And you can buy some Christmas presents and forget about your woes and celebrate with your family. But come January, We have New Year's Eve. Some people are going to be celebrating. We have some people that are here from other countries that don't even celebrate Christmas until January, in the middle of January, like the Eritreans and some of the other people. So give them the opportunity to have their Christmas. Give some of the other people to celebrate their New Year's as well. But come January 31st, the government very well may close again. Then what? Because Congress hasn't agreed on a budget. What's going to happen? They can go right back to sending people home that work for the government, right? They can furlough them. So they want you to be, because they want us to be comfortable, I'm sure, and have fun, enjoy your life. But you always got to stay ahead of them and be proactive. They can downsize the government again, which they probably are doing anyway behind the scenes. Let's see, has Congress passed it for 2026? They can this was the Washington passed the continuing appropriation. No, I want to know, have they agreed on a budget? Will the government shut down? I'm trying to figure out, has Congress approved a budget? I'm seeing old stuff. I need to know. So what else can they do? All the entitlement benefits that restarted, TANF, temporary assistance to needy families, food stamps, what else? Medicaid, Section 8, that will continue to downsize. And eventually, a lot of those programs, entitlement programs that are attached to the United States Incorporated, they'll go away. The government will close. IRS will also be done away with. That's a good thing. That's why Trump said he's going to create the ERS, the External Revenue Services, and create and put tariffs on these nations and do away with the IRS, or Internal Revenue Service. Because before the IRS was even created, we used to tax different governments for doing business with us in order to import their goods to us. We would put taxes on them and tariffs. That was the External Revenue Service. Well, the United States Incorporated, the deep state, came up with this brilliant idea to stop putting tariffs on all these other nations like China, allow them to come up, buy up, import everything they want to here, buy up the land, buy up the houses, put their own corporations, little spies around the military bases, put their spies in the institutions of research and higher education. The Chinese Communist Party and all other, not just them, but a lot of allowed traffickers to come in. They really wanted to do a number on us here on this landmass. They allowed that to happen. Well, when that happened, that's why they took the tariffs out and they started taxing the people and got through the IRS. But the Internal Revenue Service, that is going to go away. So just stay aware. We could very well have another government shutdown. We could very well have military and the government to institute a curfew, lockdowns, right? We don't know what is going to happen, but we know what has happened in the past. So that's one way you can predict what's happening, by what has happened in the past. Yes, that Jubilee is going to happen. As a matter of fact, was it Zero Hedge published an article on December 24th, 2024. The precursor to that article was the Pope opening up Jubilee doors. Some of you heard me say this before. I did say it during he opened up like 5 or 7, I think it was 5 Jubilee doors. And each day that he opened up a door, I talked about it in 2024. And I said, this is something that, that we should pay attention to. But he opened, let's see. I showed y'all this letter, this information again the other day. Pope Francis on December 24th, 2024. Give me a few more minutes, family. My family's been calling me. Pope Francis opens the Holy Door, inaugurating 2025 Jubilee. So he was initiating the 2025 Jubilee by opening up doors, and he opened up 5 or 7 of them, but one specific one he opened up December 24th, 2024. That was Christmas Eve. You see that date right there, 2024, 12/24. December, that's December 24th, 2024. opening of the Holy Door in St. Peter's Basilica is what it's called. Pope Francis opened the Holy Door of St. Peter's Basilica, thereby officially inaugurating the 2025 Jubilee of Hope. He reassured during his Christmas evening Mass that the Christ child of Bethlehem offers the world infinite hope and joy. He said that that was symbolic to him releasing prisoners. That's why it happened at the Basilica. He was releasing prisoners and inaugurating and initiating in a Jubilee of Hope, initiating a 2025 Jubilee season. The same day, December 24th, 2024, and this is Dr. Kia Pruitt's take on everything, but it's I'm backing it up with articles. Zero Hedge, you see that? A debt jubilee of biblical proportions is coming. Are you ready? Look, Tuesday, December 24th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. This article was archived. Oh my gosh. I hope I copied and pasted. And you guys, when things come out, you have to screenshot it, or you should screenshot it and or copy and paste and put it on in a WordPress or something like that, Word document. So what the article said is, it's funny that it was archived. What it said was that ancient societies have always understood that if you tax people too much and you enslave them and you make them pay too much money for things, at some point they will become disheartened. They will become irate, especially when you continue to tax them. And that will cause people to take to the streets, to stop going to work, to have an to have a protest, to take it and to rally, to have an uprising, and maybe even overthrow the government that's in place. So you have to do something to take off the pressure. Well, ancient societies understood and overstood that the best way to do that is to have a jubilee. This was something that we were doing here at tribal people in America as the ancient civilization here. But it's also something that was in the Bible in Leviticus, that after every 7 years, you're supposed to let the debts be completely wiped out or forgiven and alleviate the slaves and let them go home after these every 7 years. And give the land a rest, because if you keep tilling the land without giving her any rest, the land will not produce for you. So in Leviticus, it says you do that every 7 years. And this was something that the God of the Bible prescribed to the Hebrew people after they came out of slavery in the land of Egypt. Now, we are likening that to what we're going through now as a human race, or as a global real people. I don't know what the proper word is. Some people say don't say human, man and woman, natural man and woman. We're going through right now. We've been enslaved. We've been taxed to almost to death. We've been mistreated and abused. We've had our money and our assets stolen from us. So we are reaching our breaking point. If you don't do something like declare a jubilee and wipe out all the debt, most people know about Nassar and Jassar. I've done videos on my YouTube channel about that National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and the global version being the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. We're going to be alleviated through those programs or through those policies that were passed into law, according to many experts. But at any rate, they have to have a jubilee. They have to let all of the debt go free. They have to say that we are no longer requiring people to pay the debt, because not only do we, the people, owe a lot of debt, allegedly, or been enslaved through taxation, but the federal governments also, like the United States Incorporated, they have a lot of debt. So a debt jubilee in biblical proportions is coming. At the end of every 7 years, you're supposed to declare a jubilee, let go all of the debt, say forgive all the debt, free the slaves, and give the land a rest. Then you're supposed to count a cycle of 7 years, which is on the 49th year, do the same thing. But on the 50th year, you're supposed to have a great celebration called a Jubilee celebration. We're in the 50th year, and this was supposed to happen this year in 2025. So when the Pope opened up the 2025 Jubilee doors, or Jubilee portal is what many articles called it, that was a ritual to initiate or open up the 2025 Jubilee season. So 2025 is about to end in a couple days, according to the Gregorian calendar. You guys have to let me know when it ends in the Julian calendar because I'm not aware. Something is about to happen. The system is going to break, according to economists, and it will break at when silver reached $75. Silver is now at $77, $77.58. You have nations that are not using the United States dollar for trade. You have nations, the African nations that have kicked out the European colonizers. You have like the French, the ones, especially the ones like Burkina Faso, Chad, Senegal, Niger, is it Mali? And other French occupied nations were formerly French occupied nations, kicked out the French. Now the French government is suffering, it's collapsing, and they're a part of their parliament and their treasury that deals with the money. They already defected and stepped down. They were forced down in France because they're suffering now that they can no longer enslave the Africans and African nations and steal their resources. So the French have been kicked out of those African nations that they colonized, and that has collapsed the French economy, and that has empowered the Burkina Faso and other African nations. Well, then you have other African nations that were enslaved and colonized by Britain, by France, by Portugal, by many other European nations. They're being kicked out now. What do you think is happening in the United States of America? Those colonizers that came and called themselves the United States government and incorporated themselves in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization, they're being kicked out and they are being denaturalized because you're either American or you're not. The naturalization process is not a process that was a part of the Republic that I know about. Now we have treaties with other nations. We have treaties with the Europeans that came here. We have treaties with many other nations. Why do you think Kim Jong-un didn't like the United States Incorporated? Silver at $77.48. It just went up. It went up $5 since yesterday. Gold is $4,529. Why do you think Kim Jong-un of North Korea wouldn't fool with the United States Incorporated? Why do you think they sent an indigenous so-called black man to break bread with him to create a deal between him? Because Kim Jong-un knew that the United States Incorporated were not the real American people that had a republic that was supposed to be doing business with other nations. Why do you think China, their presidents have said it? The Colombian president just recently said it, that the indigenous people here are the copper-colored races here. Those are the indigenous people of the Americas. This is also why Russia didn't like the United States Incorporated. It wasn't because they don't like Americans. It's because they don't like the people that made the Americans prisoners of war and created this whole slavery system of the whole world by forcing everybody to use the United States dollar for trade. So this is why Russia told the so-called black people here when he opened up the vaults, hey, the people in the Bible, they look like you. This is also why President Trump told African Americans, you need to know your history. Y'all need to learn your history, because when you wake up and you know that you are the indigenous people here, that your people have a republic, that you're not slaves, that you're not Negroes and coloreds or blacks or African Americans, you're not Ingenes, you're not Iganes, you're not Ichbes, you're not Orhays. Okay, when you wake up and realize that you are the original people here, you were kings and queens, you had dynasties, your people, your ancestors and elders actually had a republic in place, a government in place. That Abraham Lincoln was copper colored. That's why he was put on the penny and his back was positioned a different way. And everybody else had their back turned on him. When you wake up and realize who you are, all these nations are saying, we're ready to do business with the real American people, not the United States Incorporated. That's why they had a problem with the United States Incorporated. They know that they're bloodline families that enslaved the whole planet. So that's why Trump is going after, one of the reasons, denaturalization, because you don't have to be naturalized here. You can either be in your own country and make your country great and be there with your family members and receive the Nasara Jasara benefits that are coming to you, because you have to be in your own nation, in your own country to receive them. And you can use your skills and powers to build up your country, because When the United States went to these countries and, decimated them through war and sanctions and put in political leaders, like communist leaders, the United States Incorporated, that's not us, that's the corporation. We know people had to escape. We understand and understand that. But what happened was a brain drain occurred. It's time for me to get off. A brain drain occurred in India when all the Indians that were engineers came here. And the scientists. A brain drain occurred when doctors came from Nigeria. A brain drain occurred when people came from other places all across the planet. Here in America, we already have scientists, doctors, researchers, nurses, lawyers, dentists. We can do it ourselves. But they allowed, the United States Incorporated wanted to further enslave the autochthonous original Americans that are erroneously called Black. The copper-colored races discovered here by the Europeans, but now applied to European. That is the 1828 Webster's definition of American. The people in power allow other people to come here to further oppress the original peoples here because we were considered prisoners of war. And to cause friction between the Europeans we allowed to come here that we had treaties with. We don't need naturalization processes. We already have treaties with the colonists, the Europeans that came here. We already, now everybody didn't abide by those treaties. We already had treaties with other nations. These people from other nations, North Korea, China, etc., they're like, we have treaties with the Republic, the American people, the original indigenous people. I'm not even talking about the Native Americans. Native means your bloodline comes from somewhere else. You was born here. Natural means you sprung from the soil. What in the world does naturalization even means? How can you naturalize anything? Either you sprung from the soil here and your people came from this place, or you didn't. Now you can have contracts and treaties and peace agreements and trade and all that. And you can even marry, make love, have babies together, et cetera, et cetera. But what is a naturalization process? It's a process that the deep state created for themselves and all the people they allowed to come here. But now when people go back to their countries, they can help build up their infrastructure. And I hear what people are saying, like, my country is communist, my country mistreats me, my country. Well, the same thing happened to the original people here. Was anybody coming here to rescue the Blacks? No. And matter of fact, they were told, stay away from them. Okay, that's what happened. They were debriefed. You can do whatever you want. You can get all the resources you desire. You can get land. Just come over here. We'll just bring the worst if you want. And I hear a lot of people saying, I came with nothing. And that's how I made. That's not true. Some people came with nothing and then were given a lot of benefits, like learning how to speak English, benefit classes, college degrees, programs, undocumented student offices on higher education. I remember I worked for higher education as an academic advisor and administrator myself. They had undocumented students offices that gave them food, clothes, shelter, scholarships, all kinds of things. No, they didn't come. If they came here with nothing, they got something. And if you talk about the Indians that are at the top of the chart, a lot of them that they're not at the top of the economic chart and they make the most amount of money in America, they came with education. They came with money and there's a specific class of them. Remember, they have a caste system. You think the people at the bottom of the caste were the ones in mass that came to America? No, it was the Brahmins are the ones way at the top. Let's stop playing. Way at the top. They came here and they were given hotels and the smartest of them, they came to do the research, the science, the engineering. They were allowed to come here as if we don't even have engineers ourselves. Well, when these people go back to their lands, they can use their brain, because that's called brain drain. The United States Incorporated draining all these countries of their resources. And at the same time they're doing this, they're sending in colonies of other people to take over their land masses. It's over. That's all I'm saying. It's all going to end. And as you see silver and gold increase, you see the end is coming faster and faster. It will happen, as Andy Schectman from Miles Franklin has said many times on my podcast, it will happen. Things will happen little by little by little, speaking mainly of the collapse of the United States dollar, and then all at once. Andy Schectman has taught me that silver and gold are a hedge against inflation. Silver and gold are lawful money, which that part I knew, but silver and gold should not just be seen as an investment, but they are wealth. They are assets that you can pass down to your family members. Silver and gold maintain their value. They're a hedge against inflation. When people see inflation going through the roof, when there's economic problems, when there's wars, rumors of war, all that, that's when people rush toward gold and silver. If you desire silver, gold, any precious metals, contact our affiliate at Miles Franklin at 952-929-7006 or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com and let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you so you can get the best prices in the industry. So much is happening, family. And as the prices of silver and gold continue to go up, you know that the world is taking a stance against the United States Incorporated that enslaved the whole world, and a stance against their monetary system. Not only the world. I talked about what the Supreme Court of the United States did when by overturning the Chevron doctrine, thus downsizing the government and the government powers. But the Supreme Court of the United States made a very important move last year as well as it relates to the financial system. The central bank had been the ones to create or print out fiat. So the Supreme Court of the United States said that state-sponsored banks can now operate independently and outside of the Federal Reserve central banking system. And now these these sovereign banks or state banks, that they can now operate independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system and have their own charter and issue out its own gold-backed currency. How can you issue out your own gold-backed currency unless you already have gold in the banks and you're Basel III compliant? Okay, state-sponsored banks can operate independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system and have their own charter, issue out their own backed currencies, which means that the states are now operating in their sovereignty. According to our republic, each state is actually its own country. It has its own laws. If you operate at the state level right now, you can pass things and move things along in your state right now. All states are their own countries here in America. That ruling by the SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, meant that the republic has already been restored. People just don't know it. Things are happening, and it's only going to happen quicker and quicker. As Andy Schectman has said many times to me, and maybe out loud, we're going to go to sleep on a Sunday and wake up Monday morning to a whole new reality. Family, I thank you so much for being here and for listening. There's so much you can do as you prepare for this economic collapse by accumulating silver and gold or gold backs, gold arm notes, which you can buy for less than $8. You can get silver coins, you can get silverware, silver jewelry, you can get real 0.999 pure silver, gold bullion, or you can get sterling silver, which is still 90% silver. You can get gold. Gold RM notes are a lot cheaper than gold bullion and gold rounds. Gold RM notes are 24 karat pressed onto a note. It's real gold, family. Already, 46 states, according to the Sound Monetary Defense League, have recognized gold and silver as money. And this article says that by 2026, it said 2025 or 2026, I think, all 50 states will have recognized silver and gold as money. If that's not in your budget and you still want to do something to accumulate wealth, you can get foreign currencies like the Iraqi dinar, Venezuelan bolivar. I told you Venezuela have more oil than Russia, more oil than Saudi Arabia. They have made agreements with African nations that have gold, that they're going to start exchanging. The African nations are saying, we're going to get gold from you, from Venezuelan bolivar. You can get some of their notes cheaply. Iraqi dinar, Venezuelan currency, Zimbabwean zim. People are putting in the comments what else you can get. With just a few dollars, you can put your pennies and coins together and dollars together with your family members, your friends, and do it together. But we also will have access to our trusts. If you were born in a hospital, you have a birth certificate. Your birth certificate has an account attached to it. It was traded, securitized, monetized, traded on a stock exchange, and it accumulated interest, and all that was put into a trust. You were supposed to be able to live off that, whether you live in America or abroad. All that money is coming back to us. When? I do not know. But family, we can create the reality that we desire and deserve right now by, yes, raising our vibrational frequencies, having an open, positive mind, an abundance mentality, abundance mindset, knowing that it's going to happen. And we can see it in our mind's eye that it's all happening now. Imagine what it's going to look like to see all that money in your bank account, all those digits. Imagine using those digits and that money to get, or currency to get silver and gold. What's that going to feel like when they turn over the system? We already know they're going to have a debt jubilee in biblical proportions. We just have to be ready. We already know countries are not trading with the United States dollar and they're using gold for money. I showed you the article by King's World, or at least I should have, that said that the world is hurtling back towards gold as money. We already know that people are at their wits' end. So things are going to get better, but imagine how excited and ecstatic you're going to feel. Like, think about it in your mind's eye. Close your eyes. Feel that emotion of no more taxes. Feel that emotion of not being in debt. It's going to be wiped out. Feel that joy of being able to access your birth certificate bond and your trust that was created at birth. We're all trust fund babies. See the elation of nations working together and the treaties being forced that we have together. Imagine how wonderful it's going to be to have your own bank and be the family bank for your family and your tribe. Think about how good it's going to feel to help so many people through your humanitarian projects. When you start thinking about that now and you attach a joyful emotion to it, you literally bring in that reality, and quickly. Because you are a co-creator with source, with God. That's how much power you can imagine it, think it, know it's going to happen, and feel the emotion of joy that's attached to it. And talk about it to your family members, to your companion, whoever you're in covenant with, how wonderful it's going to be when you do this, that, and the other. And write out what you're going to do. The moment you make up your mind, family, the universe conspires to assist you. This is a new season and a new day. Things are happening for us. Hello, Chief Mac. Chief Mac's in the house. True, so much is happening behind the scenes. That's right. Copper is going out of stock fast. People are catching on. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, because copper, well, remember it was a penny, and copper, all this stuff is relevant. Copper colored, people being the indigenous people on the planet. Copper used to be something that the people that were impoverished would strip from the wires. Remember that? Remember, and drug users and people, just poor people would go in the house and strip the copper because it's very, very valuable. Hi, Chief Mac. Thank you for being in the house. We're just about to go off. Junk silver is the cheapest right now to get into. Protect your assets with a lean non-UCC private trust. You can get a private trust from Chief Mac at contact him, Unity in Motion 45 at yahoo.com. You can contact what they call estate planners. They can help you if you want to learn about trust as well. Yes, let it happen, but let everything happen, family. It's all about to happen. I think that's about it, family, that I have. You collected coins for years and worked so hard collecting them. My mother stole my gold and silver coins before she died. Oh my gosh, FRB Supreme Magnetar. I am so sorry to hear that. Chief Mac, this person emailed you 3 days ago. I'm sure Chief will get back to you. He's been very busy. All right. Anything else, family? Chief Mac, the people are saying that they need your services, and I know you'll get back to them. Anything else, family? Anybody have any news that you want to talk about? Chief, you got any news? I'm not going to be on much longer, but I will put this in the chat for anybody. If you've heard news and you want to share it, I give somebody a minute. Here's a link. Here's the link. If you want to come on and give your piece, I'll give you 60 seconds because I have to go. My family's been calling me. Also, for those of you that contributed to Dr. Kia Pruitt Show, it gave me a blessing. I did read those of you who gave me Christmas monetary gifts. I read you and read off your names and told you thank you. The Cash App is $ Mama Kia 13, $MAMA KIA 13. And I do also have a PayPal. It's just at Dr. DRKIA Sister Janine says, my bestie and I had plans to buy 15 acres of land, but we lost her this morning. And we were looking forward to doing so. I'm really sad and pissed about, I'm so sorry, sister. Oh my God, that hurts my heart. Condolences and sending you prayers and comfort. I am so sorry to hear that, sister. I am so sorry. Gosh. And buying land is so important because you can live off the land. You can grow food on the land. Getting a family compound might be something that we want to look into because you can make sure all your family's on the same land together. You can do business together. You can look after each other's children. The Department of Transportation should be on that list of 442. Did I put it in a section? Anybody wants to say something? You have a minute. You can come on. Chief Mac, you too. I sent you a personal email link, but we're getting ready to get off, family. So, make it quick. Here is that list of 442 governmental agencies that need to be downsized, go away, because the federal government, United States Incorporated, is an unlawful, nefarious entity that the Supreme Court of the United States said. Not only they say they're unlawful, but they said that, you're welcome, that all the judges that went along with these 442 government agencies and forced you to pay fines and sent you back to them if you ever tried to bring them up on any charges, because they said the governmental agents were experts. So when the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine, thus limiting the powers of the government and saying they had to be downsized because they were treasonous, they said that any judge that participated also committed treason, and any judge that knew of a judge that participated and did not bring this forward to the president, they committed misprision of treason. So you're going to not only hear of arrests, you're going to see it actually publicized people being arrested. We might even see some public hangings. I don't know if that's really going to happen or not, but we could. I mean, they did show some people being deceased. There was a foreign leader they showed, didn't they? They actually showed him being beheaded or unalive. And they show military doing certain things to prisoners of war when they go and hold people captive. So some people are saying we could have public hangings. Some people are also saying we will have an emergency broadcast system announcement. And when that happens, they will announce that the deep state has committed fraud against the people and that the United States Incorporated is now defunct. And they will show, according to a lot of people, a lot of things publicly. And that's why we could have an emergency broadcast announcement or an alert. I'm trying to see what I'm looking for, something here. Again, as I said before, we could have another government shutdown because Congress, according to my knowledge, the last time I looked, they still haven't agreed on the budget. And they told us that the government was only open temporarily when they reopened the government. Remember, they shut it down September 30th at midnight, which was actually October 1st, my birthday, the beginning of a new fiscal year, right? Very interesting. I'm going to show you all something. These are so-called government officials. I don't know who they are per se that are wearing something, and it's causing some people to feel uncomfortable. They're wearing something on their lapels. You know how people put jewelry or something right here on their lapels? Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up and show y'all what they're walking around wearing, and it's making people uncomfortable. I'm gonna pull it up for you. Okay. Hopefully this will come up when I pull it up. Hold on. This is what people are walking around wearing. I hope it comes up. So I sent it to myself. Hold on. Oh, I didn't send it to myself. Yeah. Let me see. Do y'all see that? Let me see if you can see it on your screen. That's a noose. Why are people walking around wearing a noose? Well, it could be a number of things. Some people are a little uncomfortable. They're like, are they celebrating the hanging of, what happened historically by the hanging of slaves? I don't know. I choose to think that this is actually symbolic of what's coming for them. They're about to have some public hangings. They're going to have more people going through military tribunals. And some of this is going to happen publicly. That's what I think is going to happen. You can tell me in the comments section how you see this happening. Why are people wearing nooses on their lapels? I think this is a precursor for what is to come. It kind of reminds me of during a funeral, how you saw all presidents and former presidents and a lot of political people at the funeral opening up an envelope, and their faces were in panic and they were like scared that something was written in there that the rest of the world couldn't see. And we knew that was actually some type of document letting them know your time is up. We know what y'all did. Remember when that happened? Maybe these government officials wearing nooses is about what's about to happen to them. To them. What do you think? So I would say, family, things are happening. On one hand, some people are panicking, like the banks that don't have the silver and gold that other countries and other banks lent to them, and now they're panicking. Like anybody that committed crimes against humanity, and they will have their assets frozen through Executive Order 138/18, and they will be arrested and go through military tribunals. Who else is panicking? Anybody that did bad, nefarious things to children. You know what? Speaking of children, have you noticed that we get so excited and spend a whole lot of time talking about money and when's my money coming, including me? And when is the SAR going to happen? When we all going to be free? And when we going to get rich? And when are we going to, get a good return on our assets? We get all happy about that. And we want to talk about foreign currencies. But it's not a lot of us talking about how children have been beaten, mutilated, trafficked, raped, and sold. It's not a lot of us talking about that. It is something very terrible to realize and very terrible to talk about, but we need to talk about it because we don't protect our children the way we should. They've been allowed to do things to our children because we do turn over our children to the education system where these children can be further trafficked, and we do send them to Boy Scouts of America and Girl Scout this and this organization that say that they're helping children, and some of them are actually being funneled through underground tunnels and stolen and raped, and they don't remember it because they've been programmed and go through MK Ultra. Do you know that there are a lot of people that are actually, that either programmable easily or don't have homes or don't have parents that are concerned or don't have parents that follow them through the education system, or they even have some scholars that are brilliant. They are taken off campus and taken to other places and sometimes taken away out of classes. Given a serum, let's talk about it. Given a serum so they can forget things, and they're great. while they're giving the serum. You didn't know that? I had David Quigley, also known as John F. Kennedy Jr., to talk about that. But there are also people looking up on the internet that's talking about how they are brilliant people that had high IQs that were taken out of class, that were given food or serum and something, a substance to make them forget. And while they're under the influence, they're mutilated, they're manipulated, they're trafficked, they're sent on certain missions. Some of them sent through portals, some of them sent like right next door to be great, and programmed and trained, and they or chipped, and then they give them another serum. They wake up and they think that they were on a field trip. There are people that have come out and spoken about that, and some of them are missing now. But you know why this has been able to go on? Because we turn over our kids to the enemy. I said we because I sent my kids to public schools. It wasn't until my sister-in-law, my husband, God rest his peace, his sister said, we got to stop sending our kids to public schools because they're being miseducated and they're being programmed and they're being propagandized and being given agendas. We didn't even know that some of them were being molested. It can happen just like that. They can be told you're going to a special reading class because you're below the reading level, given a serum, programmed, chipped, and or graped, then go on to a mission, given another serum, and all they remember is that and think is that they were on a field trip. And then years later, they say, I have these memories that I was mutilated. I had these memories that I was raped. I had these memories that I saw a president over here and he did this, that, and the third to me. And we'll say, you're a liar. You went to school. You were there from 9 to 3. I know I took you. You were there for 6 hours. You took them. We took them, dropped them off to people we don't even know. Let's be real. We don't know these people. We don't know the principals. I came to know the principals, meet the principals, have their name, their phone number, and the teachers and the janitors. And I was like, oh, I'm such a good parent. I know all these teachers, janitors. Oh, I'm such a good parent. Oh, I'm the teacher of the year. By the way, I was the teacher of the year many years. But we don't really know those people. It used to be a time we educated our own children. Remember that? In our own schools, in our own homes, or on our own farms. And we taught them whatever the family trade was. And even in our own churches that we worked at. A lot of the housewives worked in the churches, educating. Why are we so comfortable turning over our children to boys and girls organizations? You mean to tell me you don't have enough knowledge, wisdom, or a trade something that you can teach your children? You don't know how to teach your child to cook, how to boil an egg, how to fry fish, how to gut fish. You don't know how to go teach your sons and daughters how to fish, how to raise cattle, how to cut up cattle, how to butcher meat, how to sew clothes, how to make clothes. No, a lot of us don't know how to do that because we've lost those skills when we gave up everything. We gave up our land, we gave up our silver, we gave up our gold, we gave up our knowledge, we gave up everything to go work for somebody else. If you don't have a mission and a vision for your own life, somebody will have a mission and a vision for you. If you don't have a goal for your own child, for your posterity, your future generation, somebody else will have a goal for you and you will be building up their empire. We gave up our wealth. We gave up anything our parents, they left us land. Oh, I don't need that land. I need some fiat dollars. Oh, I don't need American Beach here, right in Jacksonville, Florida, on Amelia Island, right 30 minutes outside of Jacksonville, owned by a brother who was an insurance agent. He owned the whole beach, sold plots to other so-called Black or African-American indigenous people, wealthy people. Most of them were people that worked for him. So you have all these Black people, so-called Black people that had their own beach because the other beaches wouldn't let them go over there. Let them go, even though they're indigenous people. Once you become the prisoner of war, somebody can let you do something. So it was a Black beach. They had so-called Black entertainers right in Amelia Island. Look it up. When their children's children had the land bequeathed to them right on the beach, a lot of them said, why would I need this? I need fiat. And this is what the government does. They make you enslaved. They tell you land isn't worth anything, or they make you so hard pressed for dollars that you got to do something. They gave up the land. His granddaughter tried to fight for the land, and she did. She was able to preserve parts of Amelia Island, the beach, American Beach there. Look up American Beach. Very wonderful story. granddaughter or great granddaughter. They still have a museum there. I need to go back. I've been there a couple times, but she tried to hold on to it, have it preserved, had like a historic reference or something like that. And she mysteriously died. She was fighting the system so hard to keep what belonged to her grandfather, keep her grandfather's legacy alive. But we give over our wealth. We turn over our children. Oh, I'm too tired after work. I don't want to go and get my children immediately from daycare. So I'm just going to send them to these strangers that have daycares, and I'm going to let them stay there. And I'm going to let them stay till 6 o'clock because the real reason, I'm tired of working, but the real reason I really don't want to deal with my own children. I'm just keeping it real. Yeah, I'm going to send you to the Boys and Girls Organization because, I really, it'll give you something to do. That makes sense. Why not create your own? Even if you don't create a Boys and Girl organization or organization at your church or your community or your foundation, why not spend time with your own child to teach them a skill? My mother made our clothes. Unfortunately, I didn't learn to sew. I just learned how to knit, crochet, and do, like sew on buttons. And I learned how to hem pants, but I should have learned how to sew. I learned some skills. I learned how to cook. I learned how to cook from scratch. I learned how to do a little bit of fishing, not really good at it, but I know how to scale, a fish, gut it and all that, fry it. And I can do all that, clean and certain things. My mom did pass down a lot, and my grandmother certain skills. I learned about etiquette. I learned how to iron, wash, how to hang things on a line. If you are washing clothes and hanging things on the line and ironing everything for the week and ironing your husband's clothes, including, and we ironed our husband's handkerchiefs and underclothes and clothes. That was just, we put creases down the middle of their pants. That's just how we were taught. Instead of taking everything to get fixed, we cuffed them ourselves. If there was a hole, we put a patch on it and we ironed it. That's why that became popular. We did all that ourselves. Something got too small, you just altered it. It was too big, you altered it yourself, or you sent it to your mom or your grandma or your auntie. We did those things ourselves, but now we outsource everything. We send our children to these organizations, to these schools, to these daycares, to these programs, where some of them are great. And you wonder why they have an appetite for their same sex, because when they were not underneath your seeing eye, somebody else had access to them. And it's not just men that grape children, it's women too. And the women are really diabolical. You know what they do when they grape your children? They say, now I'm your first experience. I'm mama. So we can't have a sexual relationship, but you are supposed to go and do what I did to you to other people. That was running prevalent on university campuses and in high schools and in many of these programs. Watch your children. Now, because we're so tired or we are single parents, we're not married, or we're so frustrated, we're taxed out the wazoo, or we're so stressed out and depressed or have anxiety, we're not watching our children. So they've been allowed to take our children, grape them, put them through MK Ultra mind training programs, chip them, and then they set off the chip. And when they trigger them with just a trigger word, or some type of frequency, they go up and they do stuff like shoot up a whole school. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying we have to take accountability for what we've allowed. And because we're so loose or just casual when it comes to our children's well-being, we're just casual. We don't listen to them when they talk. We don't have time to hear their stories. We don't have time for them. We don't make time for them. We'd rather go out and kick it with our friends, go to girls' trips, hang out with the boys, smoke some cigars, make love, chase women, have sex with as many people as we possible, smoke weed. So we weed it out and we're now just chilling out and vibing out. And we say we need it for a medicine, but really you just don't want to face reality for some of you. Some of you use it for a medicine. I get that. So, that's your thing. Some of you do it because you don't want to face reality. And we're doing so many things, and we can spend so much energy doing all these things and use so much money doing everything, getting my hair and nails did and doing it. We don't take time with our children. So our children come up missing, and some of them come up missing right before our eyes. Like I said, children are now adults speaking out. When I was in school, they'll say, look at the schools. There are certain statutes and certain different things that are outside the school that harness certain energies. And some of them are portals. But you know what we call those people? Crazy, weirdos. And they'll say, I was raped. They'll come up missing. even if it's for an hour or several hours. We believe it now that Hollywood actors are saying that they were great through Disney, but some of our children went through the same thing when we sent them to Disney World unchaperoned, without us as the chaperone. Turn them over to somebody, some stranger to chaperone them, somebody at school or somebody else at church that we don't even know. Or we just allowed them to go to the malls, allowed them to go to stay nights in hotels, allowed them to go to Disney World and Disneyland. Disney is known for affect tray of children. That's why the governor here in Florida said no longer can Disney be its own government, because Disney had its own statutes, codes, and policies that they call laws. They governed themselves. Why? Because they were doing things allegedly to children. Everybody knows Disney is infamous for that in their programming and cartoons. And a lot of the Hollywood stars actually went through Disney first because they were MK Ultra in those programs. What do you think is happening at Disney World, Disneyland, malls, and other these places you're sending your children without you being there with them? What do you think you're happening in some of these school programs? Even if you have reading below a certain level, I'm not saying this happening in all schools or most schools even. I'm saying adults are speaking out on it because it happened to them. Why do you think they want to follow your child when they have a high IQ? Why do you think they're taking the blood of your child as soon as it comes out the womb? They're trying to determine who's the Messiah, who's the child that has a gift that they're going to use later on down the line. Why do you think they don't want your child to be vaccinated? Why do they keep pushing this and telling you put these things, these drops in their eyes as soon as they come out of the canal, out of the womb? Why do you think they cut off the umbilical cord when you're supposed to allow it to stay attached until it falls off naturally? Some people say it's supposed to fall off, or you can cut it after 9 minutes. Most people, midwives, would say you're supposed to let it fall off because memories, ancestral memories, come through the umbilical cord. Memories from past lives come through the umbilical cord. The reason and mission that this child is supposed to realize when they come through this earth plane, that's in it. All that memory, all that DNA, all that information is in the umbilical cord. So they cut it off, steal the placenta, flush this stuff in your child's eyes, take a bunch of the blood, do all kind of stuff when they take it away from you and put it in the hospital. Only God knows what they're doing. They not only take off the part of their penis, cut the penis off, and now it's shrunken in size, and tell you this is circumcision that the Bible says to do it. But who wrote the Bible? Who was in control of the Bible? Why are they taking the foreskins of your children and eating it or putting it in their medicine or determining the genetic fabric of your child so they can follow it through the rest of its life? Why are they using the melanin from your children? Why are they stealing the organs from your child when they say it was unalived at birth? Why did they shoot you up with stuff so that your child could come out unalived at birth? Why are they telling you to go to the abortion clinics? What are they doing with those unalive babies that can't speak for themselves? What are they doing to the organs? What are they doing while we're so busy being concerned about our own selves? Oh, I had sex by a man. He's not worthy. I don't like him. So I'm going to kill his child. I'm going to get back at him. I'm going to unalive his child. I'm not able to raise a child. I don't have the mind and the wherewithal to raise a child, but you had the mind and wherewithal to lay on your back and open up your legs and bust it wide open for the culture. I'm going to force her to unalive the baby because I don't want to be a father, but you was man enough to open up your pants, pull out your phallus, and insert her. That's why I believe in the old days when they had shotgun weddings, arranged marriages. We don't even teach women to be virgins or chaste anymore. That's out there. A man can't even say, I want a chaste woman. I want a virgin. I want a woman that's not being touched. Oh, you a pedophile. You just want a child. No, you as a woman has made a lot of bad decisions with your womb and your vagina. And now you realize that your decisions has gotten you to the point where you're unmarriageable in the eyes of men. I didn't say it, in the eyes of men, because they see that you have so many sexual experiences. You're going to be comparing this man to all these sexual experiences that you've had. And now his penis isn't big enough. Well, he can't make you have a release the way Johnny and Ray and Pookie and Man made you have. So now you don't want this good man because, he don't meet your sexual expectations. That's why men want virgins. And the more experiences you have, the more relationships you have, the more you become jaded if you've had a lot of bad experiences, or if you left, or if he was not a good choice. So men don't want to deal with that in marriage, But in the old days, they didn't even have that experience because the women kept their legs closed. And the elder women told the younger women, keep your legs closed. Why would he buy the cow when he can have the milk for free? Now you can act like you don't want a man to buy the cow. You want to act like you don't want to be a cow. You don't want to act like you don't want to be somebody's property, but then you'll take his ring and his last name. You'll beg and barter. When you reach a certain age, you want somebody just come and marry me. I don't care what you say with your mouth. I'm talking about with your lifestyle. Selfish. I'm not going to be subject to my man. You took on his ring and his last name. What do you think that means? We have become so selfish and individualized that our children, our most precious asset, our future doctors, future lawyers, future moms, future dads, future horticulturalists, future anthropologists, future archaeologists, future everything has been allowed from the womb all the way up through college to be propagandized, MK Ultra, miseducated, mistreated, sexualized, disrespected, and told to disregard you. Because why wouldn't they disregard you? We handed them right over to the enemy. Then we get mad. Oh, they don't like my little black child. They won't let him wear his hair out in his natural hair, or they won't acknowledge John Tavius. They won't acknowledge Shanquanisha. They're racist. What you turned them over to the Rothschild school system? I'm mad at the doctor because they said this, that, and the third. We have to stand into our sovereignty, our sovereign capacity, take some control and accountability, and protect the children. Do you know that when our children have problems, behavior problems, they're put in group homes and group programs where these children are known to be great. They are great by psychologists. They are great by the workers there. They are beat up, and they don't call it being beat up by the workers at these group homes. They're called being managed. Put them in proper holds because they're uncontrollable. Well, if you were sent away to a group home or a psychiatric hospital, I used to work in a psychiatric. I have a master's degree in counseling and with a specialization in mental health, certain modalities. So I worked at a psychiatric hospital. I saw people send their children to the psychiatric hospital so they can go on vacation. And because the child didn't, some kids just go through certain stages because they're children. They're when they start developing, their hormones go crazy. So they start challenging their parents. That's why you're supposed to have rules, discipline, and order, and both parents to help them and the whole tribal community to help you raise them. Society has caused us to be so individualized and separate that now we don't have help. But I had people with money and without money to send their kids to the psychiatric hospital so they can go on vacation. How selfish are you? Or it might have been because they were stressed or because kids were just, because the child wouldn't obey. They call it, what do they call this? Defiance disorder. Some kind of defiance disorder. Can't think of it. I've been out of mental health for so long. Some kind of they call it, it's literally classified in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, the ESM-4, as a mental health illness if you don't if you defy your parents. So they can say, oh, he has defiance disorder and put him in the psychiatric hospital. Oh, he's depressed. Oh, he's got anxiety. Well, yeah, if your mom and dad weren't together and they're divorcing or they're fighting, you're going to have anxiety. But I saw them put them in and you know what happens in a psychiatric hospital? If you crash out or you start crying uncontrollably, they'll just give you some kind of medicine. Or they'll literally put your child in a jacket. What they call them jackets? Where they life jacket, some kind, where they restrain you. Put them in a room where it's all white and the child can scream and crash out there and they're banging their head all over the place. And if they're screaming and hollering because they're upset at their parents and why am I in here and nobody understands me and I was raped and I tried to tell my parents and nobody would listen to me, or my teacher mistreated me or forced me to have an SXA or told me we were in a relationship, and then I found out that I wasn't the only one, and they're going through all this stuff and they're screaming and hollering, crashing out in the mental health institution, then they might do a something on them where they actually fry their brains. But can you complain? You turn them over, and in the psychiatric ward, they lock the doors and ain't nobody coming in and ain't nobody going out. Ain't nobody coming in to save you. I'm telling you what I know. But we have turned over our children to enemies. We send them on parties and trips, and oh, they're having a coming of age trip and a coming of age party and this and that. And you don't even go to the parties. You don't even go to the proms. I'm not on my watch, you won't, without me being right there front and center. You don't know what's going on. Even when you send them to the prom, you don't know who they having sex with. You don't know what hotels they going to. You don't know if somebody's not in a hotel that's going to take your child for a few hours in the underground bases that's under some of these hotels. Brown Hotel, Speak to Me in Louisville, Kentucky has a well-known underground tunnel that leads right from that Brown hotel all the way up to Churchill Downs, where they do the horse races. And now it has come out that there have been some women, mainly women classified as Black, that were unalived at hotels. But we send our kids, oh, they're turning 18, 17. They're going to the prom. Yeah, they can go to a hotel room to have the first sexual experience. You know what's interesting? You will let your 18-year-old daughter have sex with the people that's in the schools in the back of a car in the hotel, but you'll tell her she's too young for marriage where she can be covered and provided for. I mean, not either way. My grandmother got married early. I got married at 18. All I'm saying, even 22, oh no, they're too young. They didn't have a lot of sexual experiences and girl trips and see the world and explore. What for? Who they good for when they seen the world and had all these sexual experiences? Can't no man show them anything new or even try to provide for them, because now they got a certain attitude that comes with all this liberty and freedom. Go on, make as much money as you can. That's cool. But now who can cover them? Yes, on this side, we need to do more for our men. That's what I'm saying. We need to start taking accountability, teach them trade so they can provide. But we also need to stop telling these women to stop being irrational. He got to make six figures because I work for the government and I make this money and I've done this and I've seen the world. There's nothing he can do for me. Now she's unmarriageable. According to men, if you want to know what makes a woman marriageable, you have to ask the market, the ones who do the asking. But we just turn over our daughters to teachers and our sons to these teachers, turn them over to scientists, let them participate in these parties, let them go to these trips, these Disney things, to the mall, everything. And you know what has happened? These children, some of them have been raped at these boys and girls clubs. Some of them have been raped by priests and pastors at the church. You got to be there even in religious institutions. They try to come back and tell it. Nobody listens because everybody's told not to listen. Even in group homes, when you're trained in group homes, and I was a foster parent, so I got some of my children from the group home. Even in training as a foster parent, they tell you, oh, kids, they make up lies, they dream, and they have these nightmares and stuff where they say stuff happened to them, but it really didn't happen to them, so don't believe them. Oh, children can't believe. They're too young. Oh, these children, they're doing the certain developmental stage. It's normal for them to make lies. And they'll even tell you, little girls naturally flirt with grown men. So, they're actually enticing the men to have XA with them. But they don't tell you that a lot of these sick men, counselors, psychologists, teachers, lawyers, doctors, and women lure these babies into their care or in their offices with candy, with dreams, with hope. We're going to have a relationship. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to do this and that and third for you, because they're impressionable. The part of the brain that makes good rational decisions doesn't even develop until you're 25, fully developed till you're 25. So you're talking about sending children to group homes, letting them go from foster home to foster home. And you got a lot of sick people in the foster home. That's why CPS workers take the children out of the house and give them to their friends, because they know which ones can traffic them and do all kind of bad things to them. And they're not going to tell it, and they pay them money for it. The judges, the attorneys, the CPS workers, and the families that accept them, a lot of them were all in cahoots together. And I was the lone voice. I know it wasn't just me, saying, is it just me? Or do I see some stuff happening here? No, I actually got put out by one foster agency because I was like, you know what, this right here, that look a little suspicious. I'm not able to prove it, but I will not participate in that. And telling me that I should not believe a child that say they were raped at another foster home, that's something I will not put up with. And telling me that I should just restrain a child in such a capacity that they can barely breathe and that that's natural and it's okay, that doesn't sit well with me. And telling me that I should shoot up a drug in a child. I had a 4-year-old child who was diabetic, that they would tell me to shoot with a drug in his behind. 4. I'm like, well, if it's true that he's diabetic, why don't you change his diet or give him something orally? Why does he have to get a shot 3 times a day? What are you trying to prepare him for? How many people, now that you're getting used to being injected, he can be injected with all kinds of stuff. We have allowed this to happen. We have tacitly agreed to the enslavement, the raping, and the trafficking of our children by turning them over to the enemy and allowing everything to happen to them and not listening to their voices. So some of these people have been getting away with this for a very long time. And as parents, you should be appalled. We should be appalled that we allowed them to trick us into unaliving our children in the womb. We should be appalled. God gave the woman the greatest gift in the world to determine who we were going to give birth to, because we choose which man we're going to lay with. Women give access to sex. So just because a man wants you and want to have sex with you doesn't mean he sees you as marriageable and somebody he's going to cover through his name and his provisions and his presence. Because a man's presence just doesn't fight off other men. It fights off other entities that aren't afraid of a woman, but are afraid of the masculine energy. We should be appalled that we allow them to trick us into unaliving our babies, taking the unalived babies, utilizing their cells and their blood and their body parts for them. We should be appalled. We were tricked. A lot of people were tricked into that. And they told you, oh, you got power of choice to defy God. You have the ultimate blessing to bring forth life, to decide which genetics come into the world, to be the portal and the doorway to usher in a child. And I know some of us were in relationships you weren't ready for. Some of you know, you just, and people say, what about those that were great? Less than 1% of the people that have abortion aids were great. Look up the research. But you know what happened? The woman that they used, that say Carl Rowe, that wasn't even her real name. Look it up. She lied, and she admitted to lying, that she said she was raped by 4 Black men and didn't know who the child was. Therefore, she needed an abortion. And that's what they used to push the whole abortion rhetoric. And now the federal government can mandate that this is to be so. And then they said, oh, just in the event that somebody's raped. Now, if somebody's raped and you don't want to bring that child into life, that's none of my business, between you and your God. But that's less than 1%. What about the 99% that use it as birth control because they made bad choices? Or because they didn't like the daddy all of a sudden now that his child is born. And then the man can't even say either way. Like, we need to get our minds right and do better. We need to do better. We need to bring back midwives. We need to teach these women how to birth children, because a lot of these hospitals doing nefarious things to our children. Then we need to create our own ways of teaching our children how skills and trades. Used to be a time if you were a fisher, you taught your children to fish. That was the whole generation of fishers. That was your job as the family. You taught them the farming. That was something you did for generation to generation. You knew how to sew, tailor, make clothes, make shoes, fix shoes. That was the job. You're in the silver and gold business. You taught it to your children, like I'm teaching my grandchildren. I'm learning every day so I can teach them more. You pass down that knowledge. You know how to cook well. You pass it down to your children, because it used to be a time it was a beautiful thing to be a husband or a wife. Now, oh, I don't want to be a wife. I don't want to be. I don't know. That's slavery. Okay, then who's going to raise your children? Because most of y'all that don't want to be a wife have children, and not just by one man either. So that means you like lots of sex and lots of variety of different men, but you don't want to be covered. You don't want order. You don't want discipline. I get it. I understand. We're just a nation and a people that have not been conditioned and trained to have values or discipline. So you know how to bake? Teach it to your children and grandchildren. There used to be a whole family business from generation after there was a whole generational thing. You bake cakes. You had a bakery. That's what your family did. You remember that? We had bakeries. We had mom and pop shops and grocery stores and restaurants and tool sheds and auto mechanics. And they did this for generations. But now we just turn over our children. And then we tell them to get out the house at 18, 17. They go away to college. They having lots of sex. They drinking. Some of them drugging, they sleeping with the professors, some of them doing it for A's, some of them doing it because they fall in love and they're young. Some of them, do y'all know the older men? A lot of them from the Greek fraternities, they're known for this. Will pick your young daughters as soon they look at the young freshmen. They come to freshman week, and they look at the young freshmen that are impressionable and which ones are easy to target, because maybe she didn't have a daddy at home, or maybe she's just vulnerable because she's away from home. And they decide which one they're gonna have sex with. Then they also encourage some of them to participate, to pledge in those Black Greek societies and white Greek societies. And they do all kind of rituals on them. They haze them. They make them drink water, swim different ways. They make them women have sex with the fraternities in order to get in the sororities. They don't tell you this. It's a secret. Why do you think they have secrets? Why do you think as a parent you don't even know the secrets? They pick out the freshmen at freshman week. I was at Marshall University and I saw the Qs have this big celebration. And I didn't know what it was. And they was like, you want to go to this auction? I was like, I was a graduate student. I was like, what kind of auction? When I saw what was happening, it broke my heart. And I had to say, y'all were sick. I reported it, but it was allowed. They pick young, impressionable girls and they have them walking across the stage in whatever clothes. Some of them look okay, most of them scantily clad. And the guys that were a part of the Black Greek organization can auction these girls off to the highest bidder. And that's who they will have sex with for the night. That's what's happening in a lot of these Black and white Greek societies. And they get pissy drunk, white girl wasted. What do you think happens when they get white girl wasted? They get ran through. They don't tell you this. But we turn over our children, send them away to college. Oh, they're learning education. They're going to come back with a certificate and a degree, and they're going to make a lot of money. Perhaps, but a lot of them getting underwater basket weaving degrees, communication degrees that's going to lead to nothing, Pan-African studies degrees. What is that even? Okay, you're learning about Africa, and what are you going to do with it? Some people actually go and travel and they learn things and they build relationships and they use it to their advantage, but most people don't. They have dry campuses now on some campuses, because most campuses are wet campuses, where now that you're 18, you're not supposed to drink till you're 21. But what happens if you sneak to a party? Now you're of age. Most of the people on college campus ain't even 21. So why do they have wet campuses and allow them to drink? Let's take accountability of what we're allowing to happen. So you have a lot of these professors that were trafficking these young people on the college campuses. You have a lot of college administrators that when they leave, they'll tell you that they got in trouble and or they'll just tell you they moved, they were transferred. Why do you think some of these presidents, vice presidents, and department heads transfer? Because somebody found out they was having sex with your boys. The men were scraping your boys and your girls, because they're a part of secret societies too. You can't even reach president level or a high academic administration level at many of these campuses unless you are part of a secret society. You can't even get at a certain level in medicine, dentistry, law, so-called law, the courtroom, unless you're part of Black Greek societies. The Boule, the Skull and Bones, the Freemasons, they generally select from the Black Greek sorority and fraternities and the white Greek sorority and fraternities. But they say, hey, you need to be a part of a group, an organization, because they're going to help you get ahead. But they don't tell you all the stuff you got to get to get there. A lot of these these children that are not being watched by us are being trafficked, sexed. Then they have, they're told they can't tell. Even they might be 18, 19, 20, they're still not able to make sound decisions. The brain that deals with decision making, look it up, doesn't fully develop till 25. And a lot of things doesn't even develop to age 40, but we lived older. That's why they call it turning 40, being over the hill. You're over the hill. Your experiences, your knowledge, your wisdom now crosses over the hill from childhood to maturity. And you learn certain things you're supposed to learn about, and the universities were supposed to teach you about what's going on metaphysically. You were supposed to learn about the elements in elementary school, other things in junior high. And by the time you reach college, you're supposed to know knowledge of self. But they say over the hill at 40, because that's when a lot of people say, hey, I'm really reached this time when I really fully understand myself. I know how things work, et cetera. So I'm not saying it takes 40 before you become educated or informed or your brain develops. I'm saying that's called over the hill for a reason. We literally live hundreds and thousands of years, and we went through proper schooling and education and training by our parents. But you send your kids off to college. I know people right now that have administrators and presidents in the court system because they told the young men to go on a field trip in college, and they're like 18, 19, and they know that these young men are confused because you're sexually developing, mentally, spiritually, psychologically, and emotionally developing at a critical point between 18 and 21. That's why they send you away to college. Okay, they know it's a critical point where you're figuring out yourself. So a lot of people trying to figure out their sexuality. And they can pinpoint, these administrators, which boys are having trouble, and girls. So when they go into the little debate team missions, when they're debating and championships and stuff like that, when they're playing volleyball and sports, and it's all men that's over the girls' volleyball teams, luring them into having sex or into relationships. I know gentlemen, young men, who took presidents and administrators to court because they were lured into and convinced to have sexual relations while they were at a field trip. And it was put to them like, oh, all the young men are going from this particular group, and you're all going to be in rooms with each other. But then when certain ones that were chosen by these presidents and vice presidents and assistants, they were told, oh, there wasn't a room found with you. You're going to sleep with me. And some of them were forced into XA, and some of them were convinced into it, and some of them fought. Those presidents and assistants and administrators right now are going through courts because the right person found out that worked in this college, this particular college I'm talking about, university, and they told it because they weren't a part of the secret society. But one of those young men went back and told a particular advisor, this is what happened to me. This is what's been happening over the course of several years with the young boys. It happens at Black colleges, PWIs, predominantly white institutions, universities, all type of schools, college program, everywhere. This young man and some of his friends told a particular administrator, counselor, and the counselor said, I can't hold this information. Do I have to tell it? I'm a mandated reporter, but I also have your trust, right? You want me to do something about it? He was like, yeah, I just don't know what to do because a lot of us are doing it so we can get A's because our family says you got to make good grades, or we're doing it because we want connections when we get out of college. And do you know that the president of that institution this is my friend, I know, that told him, I'm going to fire you. And he fired him. And I'm going to make your life hard. I'm a part of the secret society. You should have joined the Black Greek fraternity or this certain fraternity when I told you to. So now you're not protected. The child who took them to court won his claim, but some of the workers are still fighting because they got fired and were told and blacklisted. This happens at Black schools. There were professors at a PWI, predominantly white institution, that was watching child pornography on the computer. And some of the students came in and saw it, and they told the administrators. You think he got any trouble? No, they just transferred him to another institution. He's now a world-renowned person in his area. He's still writing books, still doing research, just wiped his mouth like nothing ever happened. We got to take care of and mind our children because a lot of things that's happened to our children happen on our watch. Now, I understand, I overstand that a lot of us are tired. We're working. A lot of things happen. It's not everybody can't take the blame for relationships not working out. Sometimes, you get in a marriage and you're like, or a relationship, you have children, you're like, I'm not able to keep this together. Our mission and vision is just not aligned. Back in the day, somehow most marriages were able to stay intact. But, things happen. I get it. We still have to have community in place to help you raise the children, to help me, to help us raise the children. We still need tribes. We still need community. You cannot do everything by yourself. You shouldn't be shipped off as a child to go to somebody's boarding school. I was at the top of my class in the 6th grade, 6th or 8th. I think it was 6th grade. The top in the school. So they found scholarships for me and wanted me to go away to a boarding school. The boarding school, my teachers had a conversation with my mom and said, she's brilliant, she's smart, she need to go away to this prestigious school that can further pour into her. My mom and dad weren't together, but my mom had the presence of mind to say, wow, this sounds like a good opportunity, but let me ask her dad, even though they weren't together. It was my father that said, no, we will not send her away where she's not under the watchful eyes of her parents, because anything can happen to her. They could feed her something. She can have allergic reactions. She could be talked into something, cajoled into something, forced into something, injected by something, have relationships, end up with a baby. Anything can happen. They could traffic her, send her away. And then what happens? Once you do something to a child, you can't undo it. So they made a decision that I wasn't going to go away. I was upset for years. Like I could have gotten further. Even as an adult, I could have gotten further. But when I started hearing testimonies for adults that said what happened to some of them when they went away to boarding school, and I got to see what happens not only here in America and other developing nations, but third world countries where they send their kids off, some of them right down the street to the schools, and these principals and these teachers and school masters force these little girls into sex. And these little girls too scared to tell their parents. This happened in Ghana when I was sponsoring children. I was paying for them to go to school and didn't understand. Why aren't you going to class? And I was like, I'm going to walk you to school. And I walked into school. You're going to get your education. You got to learn English. I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing. If you want to, you want to do better for your family, you're telling me this is what you need to do. You beg me to sponsor you or blah, blah, and I love you and I'm doing this for this. Then I was like, why do they not want to go to school? Why are they kicking and screaming? It was their aunties that actually told my sons, they were scared to tell me that in a lot of communities in Ghana, African nations, and abroad, these girls are scared to go to school, and boys, because they're forced into sex and sexual relationships in order to get a grade or for little money, like maybe 2 or 3 Ghana CDs, which don't even equal up to $1 USD, so they can feed their families. We need the men to control the behavior of other men, because I can scream and holler and shout all day long, but men keep saying, I can't control what another man does in his house. I can't control what another man does with his phallus. I can't control. Well, you know what? Then another man might be one of those other men that you don't want to control that harms your child. So we need the men to stand up and give some rules and some laws and some values to the community and repercussions for if you do. You do something to one of the girls, we coming for you. You traffic drugs to our mothers, fathers, and our children, aunts and uncles, we're coming for you. And we need the women to get on board with listening to and following the leadership of men and other leaders. Because a lot of us don't want to follow a man, a priest, a pastor. I'm talking about even righteous people, a husband, a law, nothing. We've been given so much liberty and freedom that we think we can do anything we desire to do. And that has harmed our children. We need order, structure, and discipline. Discipline, order, and structure. The whole tribe, the whole village, the whole community, the whole society need to get our act together, because the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket, producing a lot of children that we're not taking care of. And because we're producing these children without being married or covered or in covenant relationships, and there's no laws around how we're governing our bodies and our private parts, we get stressed out and we unalive our children in the womb, or we just send them away to schools and colleges and boys and girls clubs and this and that because we're too tired and frustrated. My plea to us as a soul family is to get our houses in order. Thank you so much, Terry, for the blessing, for the donation. Terry says, you verify Steve Coakley's findings about the boule. Nefarious. Get the prodigy out of the school system. Thank you so much, Wave. Wave Star said, matriarch pull bank claim your sovereign status on the land. Family, I said a lot. I know that sometimes I get passionate. And it seems like I'm screaming. I apologize for screaming. I I get passionate and my voice yells when I talk. That's just my way. I could blame it on being Latina, Hispanic. My people came from Colombia. You know, they say they get passionate. I could say that's it. But no, I'm just a passionate speaker. I'm also a professional speaker and I know how to project my voice. But most of us, when we get passionate, we want, the energy just gets high and you just start speaking loudly. Yes, Oprah Schools for Girls was found to be bad. They've discovered that they were doing a lot of things to the children. So we got to stop with allowing the human trafficking that's going on. Do you know that the Queen Elizabeth, allegedly took some of the indigenous children that were at boarding schools and had child hunting parties, had them run around in some field, and then her and her cohorts chose the ones they wanted and either raped them or beat them and mutilated them, and they came up missing. This was indigenous children in Canada. Then there was charges brought up against the Queen, but of course she didn't suffer any consequences. But there was one child that escaped that told a story. I want you to look that up. This is how the news came out of what happened to him. Now they say that her son would be charged posthumously. That would be charged, and she would be charged posthumously, even in her death, Queen. But these people do this at the highest level because it is a part of their rituals. They eat the organs, drink the blood, to do the mutilating, do the MK Ultra. I hope I don't get in trouble for this video, but if I do, follow me on Rumble at Dr. Kia Pruitt, if they take off for some reason this channel. But let's just do a better job of minding our business of raising our children, because they literally tell you, they even tell, I was a college administrator. When I was learning to be a student affairs officer and college administrator, while I was going through my PhD, my master's and PhD program, they literally told us in the curriculum, you will have something called helicopter parents. Those are parents that want to know what the child's grades are, want to know what they're doing, what type of extracurricular activities they're involved in. Don't listen to those helicopter parents. They even gave us a name, gave them. I was like, well, I'm a parent. You telling me that I can't do that with my child, even though I work for student affairs as a professor and an administrator? You trying to tell me there's something wrong? And I'm very heavily involved in my children's education, even when they were in college. I determined if they had a problem with a teacher, I checked the teacher, then I went to the department head, and then I went to their department head, and then I went all the way up to the president. I knew what they were doing, what programs they were in. I even guided and directed what programs they're going to do. And I told my daughter, we told our daughter, my sons and I, you're going to go to school from home. You know, you can go to your class, that's still send them away, but you're going to be based at home. We have to be so vigilant. They'll tell you there's a such thing as helicopter parents. Watch out for helicopter parents. Your child, 18, 19, 20, 21, they're considered adult. They have privacy rules, so they don't have to tell you what grades they make or what they're doing on the college campus, even though you might be paying for it. So they tell you, don't listen to the parents. Don't let the parent, control you or ask you for the grade. When I was coming up to be an educator, that was my first choice of ever discipline to study. But I went into economics and politics and social sciences, psychology and sociology. But I started off thinking about becoming a teacher, an educator. Thank you for the Cash App gift. I appreciate you. Regina, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. God bless you. They said you're going to have parents that want to chaperone. They want to volunteer. They want to be at every lunch time to be with the children. They want to spend time with their children. They said, just understand that this is not something that we strongly encourage, but that's what's going to happen. And they told us it's the upper middle class parents that will do it. They're going to be very dictatorial. They're going to be very aggressive, and they're going to tell you what's best for their child. They said the upper middle class and upper class parents that send their children to public schools, mostly in some private schools, they will dictate which curriculum to take, et cetera, et cetera. Just be aware. And, we don't really like it, but, they have a lot of power, and they are on all these on these boards and meetings, and they control the money coming into the school. So just know some of them you have to listen to, but a lot of them you don't. And a lot of these parents, especially the ones coming from poor class, they're just overwhelmed with work, and they just been through so much. They're too tired to really participate. So just understand. And if their child has a problem, we have written them for them. We can classify them as ADHD, which is attention deficit hypertension disorder, or ADD, attention deficit disorder, or we can say that they have an oppositional disorder, or we can, just classify them. And then those ones, you encourage their parents to let them have Ritalin, and we'll send them on to this small group, these little classes over here where all the little boys can be together. And even if your little brown boys did not display those characteristics, but they were brown and they were in certain schools, they would still shovel them off to the troubled kids classes, because they wanted to put them all together. Kwanzaa Kunjufu in the 1970s wrote volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and volume 4 of a book called The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. This is not something that people do consciously, or not even all people do. And this was in the 70s and 80s. I read the book in the 80s and 80s, I think. But there are certain people that infiltrate the school system, that infiltrate medicine in health departments, that are looking for certain children to manipulate, to also to do all type of, what do you call it when you're doing experimentation on? So let's stop handing over our children to the enemy, because a lot of these people were able to do a lot of bad things to children. And then you have families that sent them, oh, my child want to be a rock star. They want to be a rapper. They want to be a musician. They want to play for a rock band. I'm going to go send them with these adults that I don't even know, but I'm just trusting because they have a name and they paid me some money. And they live in a house with these people. And we send our little girls to model because modeling is cute. What do you think modeling is? They put makeup on your little babies, earrings on your little babies, dresses, and we need to find our minds. Put them in bikini outfits, parade them across the stage, and sexualize them. And what do you think is happening to these babies and little girls and grown women that we turn over to the modeling industry and the entertainment industry? What do you think is happening when you say, oh, you're just showing off your feet? They're a foot model. What do you think that escalates into? That's all considered the sex industry. Oh, my child wants to be a model. That's cute. And who cares if your daughter or your son gets mad at you when you say absolutely not? Because a lot of them now are trafficked or trafficked into pornography and trafficked or encouraged and enticed to have sex. They'll say, oh, yeah, you can dress in that outfit. Don't. First, they'll say, oh, you can bring your mom and dad. Sometimes they say no, but the mom and dad gets comfortable and mom and dad sends them on a photo shoot without them. And you might have on a jacket or a coat. Oh, just drop the shoulder. Just going to show a shoulder. They just drop the shoulder. I'm talking to women who became sex workers and now were trafficking their bodies for money, who told me how it all started. They're not grown women. Oh, just show your shoulder. Oh, you can just drop it a little bit. Oh, pose, strike a pose, smile, strike a pose, find it, strike a pose, Vogue, hey, strike a pose. Oh, yeah, you're going to be on the commercial, you're going to sell perfume. Why do you need a body to sell perfume? So they play in the music, they give you a little food, now you take the coat off. Oh, you know what? That's a nice top or dress. Why don't you just unbutton 1 or 2 buttons? Then the next time they might unbutton several. Then the next time they might have you take it. Oh, but you have on a bikini. You see how they socialize women into walking around the beaches naked when it used to be a time women actually, they still covered up even at the beach. Somehow they found a way to swim without wearing a bra and panty set and thongs going all up their butt crack. Some way they found a way to swim without showing all their vagina to all the men on the beach and all the women on the beach and all the young children. Remember back in the 40s, they found a way to cover up themselves, but all of a sudden we can't swim without showing our vagina and our booty and our breasts out to the world because I'm grown. You can't tell me what to do and what to wear. And now the men can't tell you nothing, even though all these other men are being turned on, and even little boys, and you don't care because you a woman. Here you roar and you're grown. Well, now that society has normalized that, oh, take off all your clothes and you're modeling swimwear. And then what? Oh, you want to get escalated up the ladder? Well, now you trust these people that are with you. You're eating. They might slip you a few drugs. Now you're having sex with them. Now you think you're in a relationship, but they're just having sex with you. And then while you're on drugs, they tell you, you want to make a little more money. Hey, you can be a porn star. We can give you a name and you'll get more money. But now you're on drugs. Now you're having sex for a living. Now that they take away the money and now you're on drugs. Now you need a pimp to make you feel safe. So they give you a pimp, a man tonight. We're going to make money together. It's something. Somebody asked me if Chief Mack is my pimp. No, he's not. But I have had people to say, we should do business together because we're going to make a lot of money. Knowing that I have an online presence, I have a certain aesthetics about me, I have people that support me, and they're trying to eat off of my name and off of my energy. What do you think that they do to the beautiful women that are on the street? We're going to make lots of money together. What happens if she doesn't bring the money home? They get beat up, or they don't get the drugs that they've been conditioned to. It all started out with just being a nice, benevolent, cute little model. And what do you think runway models are? That's an opportunity for women to come across the stage. Yes, the internet has made all this a thing. And they're being auctioned off to the highest bidder for sex, just like the Omega Psi Phi fraternity men, the Qs were doing at a particular university that it was a show, an auction. And these little young girls were just so happy to be chosen by the Qs to participate in the auction. Some of them knew what was happening, some of them didn't. Given a certain number, put it around their necks and walk around the stage in their little bikinis or whatever clothes. And the guys I bid on her, I bid this much, the highest bidder took her home to have sex. That's what's happening in a lot of modeling agencies. That's how some of these babies and young children become sex workers. Do you know that the pornography industry is filled with trafficked women and children? Check it out. But they condition our men into thinking that porn is good, and they put it on all the computers, and it's hard to bypass it. Sometimes it just pops up on your phone, on the computer. And now a man is so turned on by what he sees on the screen, they take it from regular sex with a girl, a woman, sometimes it's a child, underage girls, little girls, young girls. And then once your brain turned on, you want to see more. Sex with animals, sex with men, sex with the same sex, sex with objects. I'm telling you, because people have come to me and told me. Remember, I was a counselor. I do have a degree, doctorate in counseling, psychology, actually. I was a life coach. I worked at mental institutions. I worked at mental hospitals. They turn on that brain on the man. He's so used to seeing all this sex with different animals, objects, women, little girls, people with both body parts, transgender, everything. Now his wife can't satisfy him sexually. Now he can't perform on the workplace. We need the men to cry out against this. Oh, it's okay. Dollar bills, y'all. I'm raining on these hoes. Superman, that hoe. I learned that was about having sex and all the orgasm, the stuff, the juice and stuff that's on the bed. Now it's all on the bed and it's on the sheet. So now when she tries to get up, the sheet is attached to her body, so she looks like Superman. So they got all of your little girls and boys singing, Superman, that hoe, Superman, that hoe. And it's all about disrespecting the woman in a sexual act. And we laugh and kiki and kaka about that and other lyrics in the music. And because we have not done our due diligence to watch and listen to what our children are listening, I'm saying they get propagandized and they get insatiated with this stuff, and it becomes normal and okay. Superman, that hoe. Now you're calling women whores and hoes and bitchs. And I hear men say, well, if you act like a hoe, I'm gonna treat you like I'm gonna call you a hoe. That's not, be a man. Like I told my boy, yes, people are gonna act the way you know, they're gonna act like people will treat people the way they present themselves, but you don't have to be that one. If she act like a whore, you can tell her, do better, baby, and pass over her. Don't call her a hoe. Don't call her a whore. Don't just run through her and then throw her away because that's what everybody else has done. That's because the low expectation she has of herself. You have to have integrity. I'm raising real men here. I need the men to start teaching men how to be men. I need the men to start teaching men to cover women in covenant agreements before they have sex, to put rings on their finger, to agree to cover them, to agree to provide for them. I need the men to teach other men trades. I need the men to stand up and stop teaching their boys to go and have sexual experiences with older women and grown women and prostitutes because they need to have experience before they get married. I need the men to learn how to govern themselves and keep their penises in check and stop creating all these situations and taking advantage of women not having a covering, so that we can get some control over the civilization. And then at the same time, we women will teach our young girls to keep your body, be chaste, be a virgin. Don't let him have access to your body. Make him marry you, make him protect you. I don't need to be married. I want to be married. Marriage ain't for everybody. Well, okay, Well, there are things that come along with that. Well, then learn how to protect yourself if you're going to be out here in these streets. Society has gotten to the place that it has because we've been complicit at many levels. We listen to the music, we watch the TV, and we allow our children to do it. We hand over our children to the enemy. We turn over our money to the banks. Now that's why they can steal our money. We are the creditors. We give them, the banks, our money, and they loaned it out, whatever. We have to take accountability and stop all this foolishness. We have to take the accountability and control what happens with our children. We have to take accountability for what happens in these households where there aren't two parents that are raising them. We know what happens in a one-parent household, and it can happen in a two-parent household. I just heard a story last night. His brother was telling me what happened. Because I was with a girl. She come from church in a two-parent household. I said, well, the fact that she let you have sex with her and y'all live together, let me know that she didn't really espouse those values, because her parents should have been saying, absolutely not. You shouldn't have done it. And her parents, more importantly, since she's going to be the one to come home with the child, should have not allowed that to happen. As a village, we need to get ourselves together, and as a community. Society has become the way it is because societies are built upon their principles and rules, and morality is built upon principles, rules, and morality of the communities. Principle, rules, morality of the community is based upon the family. What happens in the family is based upon the individual. Societies are comprised of communities. Communities are comprised of families. Families comprised of the marital couple or the family, the nuclear family and the extended family. So family, let's do better. Things are working in our favor. We're waking up. We're saying we're no longer going to allow the enemy or the fake government, the United States Incorporated, to enslave us. We're not going to allow them to peddle their United States dollar, their fiat system to us. We're going to do what we can to get silver and gold. And when the system switches, they flip the switch, and we have access to our trust, and the SAR and JSAR benefits come, or anything, even if they just start giving you out a check once a month. Whatever they give me or whatever I earn, I'm going to use that to start buying up hard assets. I'm going to buy me some silver. I'm going to buy me some gold. I'm going to buy me some land. I'm going to buy me a compound. And I'm going to have all my family members on that compound. And I'm going to put in some rules and some values and some missions and a direction for my family. I'm going to write out a mission statement for myself and a mission statement for my family. And I'm going to say, this is the trajectory of the family. I keep hearing men saying, I need a woman on my program. Well, what's your vision? What's your mission? What's your program? Are you properly vetting women and then tell them this is my mission, vision, and program? And when I cover you, this is what I have to offer. And I'm not even going to talk to you. See, this is why people are making bad mistakes, because once upon a time, the man didn't even talk to a woman. Women and men were separate. They went to separate schools. If they worship together, the men sat over here, the women sat over here, little girls and little boys, they sat separately, because biology kicks in when you mix the genders. They want to have sex. They want to make love. That's just human biology, but you have to have some control around it. So the men didn't approach women. This is why women get put off. Why do you get put off when a man approaches you? Women get attitude. They're like, ugh, don't talk to me, because it's not natural. We don't want you approaching us. It's what has come to be natural. We don't know if you just want to have sex, you just want to use us, you're trying to run game. Everybody know that there used to be a time when men ran game on women. Now men are mad because women are running game on them. I can't believe women are acting like men, they're running game. Well, it was okay when you were doing it, but now that women are acting like, I get it though, you're offended, appalled. How dare a woman want to have lots of sexual partners and cheat on me, sleep around the way we used to be able to get away with. Men did not approach women. Men approached the fathers and the elders of the family and the tribe. I'll do you one better. Families got together and decided amongst themselves which child was allowed to marry to which child and into which family. And they did that, and to make sure that they all had the same values and mission and goals in life, and there was no war between the two tribes. But a man didn't just go and say, I was still raised in that era. I was born in 68. But in my community, people outside my community, you know how they have the community, and then they have a sub-community, a culture, then they have a subculture. My subculture, I was raised a certain subculture where the women were taught to be virgins and not to get married until not to have sex until you not to have sex until you got married, and the men were taught to they must be able to provide, and the men were also in my sub community encouraged by the elders and helped in their provision with the elders. They helped them with trades. They helped them learn how to buy a house. My husband bought me a house when I was 19. Okay, they helped them, 3-bedroom house, mind you, with a yard and a fence around it. He had help by his community and by his family, because the families used to help the young people get married. So the men didn't just approach women. That's just, we don't like all that energy or attention. I know we do that now, and yeah, we smile. We should smile and be happy that you approach us. And I'm pleasant. I smile and I say thank you or no thank you. But some men will keep pressing the issue and forcing the issue until you either feel actually forced. You don't know what he's gonna do when you turn the corner. You don't know how mad. Sometimes you get cussed out if you don't take his number. So sometimes you take his number just to be nice, but you don't answer the call because you really don't want to be with him, but you felt cajoled. We don't like that energy. Just like you don't want your wife and your little girl to be out in the street, in the public, because you know men are going to approach her, and you know that men want sex, and that's just biologically natural. The woman that you desire don't want to be approached all day long, every day. You think just because you're a man and your penis get erected every time you see a beautiful woman, that's natural only for you? Women turn down more sex than a man could ever imagine in his lifetime. And one day we can turn down more men than you would turn down sex in a year, in a lifetime, in one day. Constantly bombarded when you're at work, bombarded when you're at school, bombarded when you're in a grocery store, bombarded when you're walking down the street, bombarded when you're driving, bombarded when you're on social media, bombarded when you're working, bombarded in the comments, bombarded and don't even want to be in a DM, bombarded, sex, all day long. And you wonder why women have an attitude just because you might be cute and have something to offer, and she just didn't want to talk to you. Because back in the day, you approached her father. And we need to get back to that, because men know men. They can size them up. They can assess where they are, their mentality. How much can they provide? Even if they don't make a lot of money, are they still worthy enough to take care of my child? Are they worthy enough mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to be her husband, to also change her last name to theirs? Are they worthy enough to be a good father? It's not about, can they make 6 figures? Can they make a whole lot of money to compete with what she made before? See, this is why women got married early, because when you let women, or when we have a society where women are getting married in their 30s and 40s and 50s, now you've accumulated wealth and assets and experiences and men and all kinds of things and babies that men don't want to deal with. And that's their choice and their prerogative. But since they do the asking and they are the market that determines who's marriageable, we need to remember that you have to qualify for marriage. And sometimes, yes, you're going to settle. Some of us have these ideals that are overreaching. I'm not settling for anything. What's settling down? Why is it settling down? Okay, so you just want to keep having these high expectations that somebody that's making 6 or 7 figures is going to find you and even marry you, even after all your experiences and things that, and the fact that you already have money. Okay, well, then keep dreaming. The men approached the father, the elders, and they had a conversation. And not only did they approach the fathers and the elders and not the women, they then courted the women for marriage. Do you know what courtships took place? When I was growing up, I grew up in the 60s in my subculture, but also all the way back 40s, 20s, 30s, courtship took place on the front porch. You could sit out and on the front porch under the watchful eyes of the elders and the parents and everybody in the community, the adults. But now I ain't telling my mama, daddy nothing. I don't want people knowing my business. Hey, we gonna creep, we gonna sneak. You my sneaky link. All that's evil and wicked, and it leads to you being used, mistreated, and at some point cast aside. And even though you bonded with him, through the hormone that every woman releases through sex called oxytocin. And this is why a lot of women go crazy once they have sex with people and they bond with them and they don't want to let them go, even if that man is not good for them. It's a natural biological chemical that you release. That's why they tell you to limit your sexual experiences. That's why they tell you what used to tell us to only have sex with your husband. You release oxytocin, you bond to this man, and it's hard to shake him and get away from him, even if he's not good for you. So courtship took place under the watchful eyes of the parents and the elders and the people in the village on the front porch. If you went to the ice cream parlor, it was with a group. If you went out with somebody, it was with the whole church. Or you sat on the couch with your parents watching you, because biology takes place when you leave a man and a woman or a girl and a boy alone. It's natural. We're not shaming men for wanting to desire women or women for wanting to have sex or having babies. We should stop shaming that. She got so many kids. The reason why they made it a shame to have so many kids, because they made society so hard to live in that you got to be able to afford children. Now, children are not even considered a blessing. You see how our minds have been twisted? Children aren't even up. You have people online say, I can't believe she's got all those children. Oh my God, that's evil. That's wicked. It's only because the women can't and the men can't afford them that now that's something twisted. And they're not having children under a covering. Courtship for marriage happened between a young man and a woman, but they got approval from the father and the elders. You did not approach girls. Girls didn't have sex before marriage. And if they did, and the father found out, he'd hold a shotgun to that boy's head or that man's head and say, you're going to cover my daughter. You're going to marry her. You're not going to make her ashamed. Because we might be in 2025, but we still have a lot of women saying, I ain't ashamed that I had this many men. I ain't ashamed. You wouldn't even have to say it if you didn't feel a level of shame. We need to bring back shame. And when I mean shame, I mean where we feel some type of feeling that we can just do whatever we want without being watched and guided by the elders. All of this organization and unruliness and lack of discipline has led us to where we are today. Children having babies, children having sex in the schools. Remember, I'm a substitute school teacher. I was a teacher and I worked all the way up to the medical school, dental school, and even in law school. I know. I worked from daycare all the way up because my family owned a daycare and a school, and I worked for my family as well. Under your watchful eyes, they're having sex. The boys and girls are thrown in the same room. The girls are at reaching puberty where they're going to start now ovulating and desire sex. The boys are now reaching the age where they're going to desire sex, and they're going to be hitting on each other all day long. And some of them sneak off and they have sex under the stairs, under the bleachers, in the bathroom. I'm telling you what I know. They see you smoking, so now they smoke. They see you smoking weed and your friends smoking weed, and you saying, oh, I'm just getting high, I'm just releasing. But now your child is watching what you do, and they go do it at the schools or on the playground or outside or at their friend's house, because you're not watching them. You don't take them and sit with them at places. You send them. You don't take them to church. You send them. You don't take them to the Boys and Girls Clubs. You send them. Or you just say, go ahead. Or you're too busy or too stressed out. Now they're smoking weed in the bathrooms. And you get a phone call and you're irritated and you want to cuss the child out, but you smoke weed in front of them. Children do what you do, not what you say. Teaching and educating is about being an example in front of your children. Now they have relationships with grown adults because a 16-year-old is ovulating and she's at her prime to have babies. My grandmother got married at 16. So yeah, they're going to look at older men. Some of them, I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying what happens. They're going to look at an older man as a provider. Or somebody they look up to because maybe daddy's not home, or maybe that's just because he's attractive. Who's watching him? Then we get all the part, oh my God, he had sex with a 16-year-old. You weren't watching her. You told her that she can have sex with as many people as she wants to because you don't want her to ever get married. You want her to live free and roam about the country and be like you were in your younger age. And you don't want her to compete. You don't want to compete with these young girls. That's one reason we don't tell young women to get married. We don't want to compete with the young. I'm not talking about 16-year-olds. I'm talking about 20, 21, 22, all the way up 25 and 30-year-olds. Once you reach 50 and 60, and you've had all the fun you had and all the experience you had, and now you want to compare and you don't want to be alone. You don't want to compete with these young women that are in their prime. So you tell them, go out and have fun and have as much sex as you want. And they're doing that. And now they're discovering, I'm 35, 40, and I don't have many children, or I only have one, or I've had so many sexual experiences and so many things and seen so many things. I don't even want to talk to a man. I want to pop up off the mouth. I want to argue. I want to disagree because I have a voice and an opinion, but he can't even influence me or encourage me or talk to me because all the women in my family haven't been married and they don't understand the energy of the man. They don't understand he has bass in his voice. They think anytime a man says something, he's being aggressive. My point is, a lot of these young girls and boys are doing a lot of things in the school. Boys are bringing guns to the schools, showing off, brandishing their weapons. They get caught up in gangs and trafficking drugs. They get convinced and cajoled into doing all type of things. And some of them don't get in trouble if they pay the right price. And sometimes that price is sex with adults. And that, my dear, is how we get into a situation where you got children now that are missing, being sexually exploited, put into porno movies because they started off being trafficked or modeling as children. They send them away to their Boys and Girls Club. And you wonder how, when I sent my son off to the Boys and Clubs trip, he said he liked girls, and all of a sudden he liked little boys. And he's not telling me what happened. Oh, I guess he was just born that way. Or maybe he was molested. I was a rape crisis counselor between 1996 and 1998. Talked to a lot of boys and girls who were turned out by adults. And now it's their natural proclivity to be a certain way. And it's bad to mistreat them because you don't know, most of them have been raped. And we don't know it because we have not watched our children. And when our children try to tell us something, we get mad at them. Don't you speak against my boyfriend, my husband, my wife, my mother. Don't you speak against my pastor, my priest, my prelate. They would never do that. And even when you find out that some of these pastors have done things to boys, you blame it on the boys. Some people. Or they'll say, you can't talk badly about the man of God. He's human just like everybody else. Give him a chance. But some of your pastors are going to be arrested. Meanwhile, they've harmed a lot of children, some of them. I'm a part of a church. I was a part of a church organization where a whole daycare center in the east, around Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, somewhere Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, was shut down. Well known. It was run by a church, and it was found out they were doing bad things to those children. When I say bad things, I mean exploiting them and doing adult things to them. And it was a shame. It was in the newspaper. The church didn't want to talk about it, but at that time I was studying to be a minister, so I was around the pastors and the evangelists, and I heard the stories. And then some of the pastors died in the organization. And it wasn't until they passed away that the little boys and girls started telling the stories about what happened to them from the time they were children. And some of them adults are older than me right now. They've confided in certain people. They've confided in me if I'm their friend or other people, but they still to this day, even after their bishops died, their elders, their priests, their pastors, they still won't tell it in their 50s and 60s what some of these people did to them when their parents sent them to church and on church trips without them. So family, we got to do a better job. Molesting children, doing harmful things to children, trafficking children, using Bitcoin for payment for trafficking children. All that was happening, not just in secret societies, not just in Hollywood, not just with entertainers, not just on a casting couch with children, but also in hospitals, schools, universities, boys and girls clubs, and community organizations, as well as churches, mosques, temples, cathedrals. So family, let's take control of our lives. Let's protect the children. Let's listen to them. Yes, I know Allie Carter is a person that's spoken out. She's very well known for it. I've been following her since she came out on Instagram years ago. She's not the only one. John F. Kennedy Jr., also known as David Quigley, he has told us on my show about 4 times his story about he and other actors and political children had stuff done to them. And you have other adults that speak out against it. But for some reason, we don't want to hear it, and we tell the children to shut up, or we turn a blind eye. But now we got to wake up. We have to protect our children. We have to care about the children, care about the people, these young babies that we're bringing into the world. Listen to them when they try to tell us stories. Even if it irks you or you're busy or you're tired, listen to them. A lot of them don't want to go to school. They know. They'll tell you, we were in school for 6 to 8 hours, and then some of them go to after school or before school, and we're tired, and we're away from our families. And some of them are being mistreated, and some of them know some bad things happen, or they see things happen, or they're picked on, or they're bullied. Let's take control of our children, our energy, and our resources. So much is happening in the world, family. We're going to have a lot of arrests. A lot of it will be public. We're going to have a lot of public repercussions that will be shown on the television screen, in the news media about what's going on. So prepare your heart and your mind, because we might have an emergency broadcast system happen. Remember, I said there were political people walking around with this noose on their jacket. And some people, they're I understand they don't like that. I don't like it either. But my thing is, what if they're trying to tell us that these are the people that's going to face the noose? They could be making fun of the how they hung so-called slaves back in the day, or they could be letting us know what's about to come down the pipeline for them. Meanwhile, you have governments that have stopped trading with the United States dollar and using their own currency, backed by their local currencies, backed by silver and gold. We also, oh my God, I got to get out of here. I got to make some moves. Look at this. We also see silver and gold going up even as I spoke, or as I am speaking. Silver is $78.53. Gold is $4,529.38. That means that they no longer can suppress or hold down the prices of silver and gold. As more people are getting into silver and gold, they can't hold down the prices. As more banks and governments are calling in their gold and silver from other banks, they can't hold down the prices. As the dollar loses its value, United States dollar, more countries say, I'm not trading with it anymore, use their own currency backed by the silver, gold, oil, and rare earth minerals. All these resources that they have in their countries, they're going to use it to back their currency. And their currencies will be reinstated back to their value that it was before wars and sanctions. And then it will be revalued. That means it will have a value placed upon it, backed on the resources that each nation has. As all this is happening, as states can now operate independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system and have their own charter and issue out their own gold-backed currencies, a lot is happening. Silver skyrocketing, gold is skyrocketing, excuse me. As this is happening, family, and as people realize that silver is not only just used for jewelry, it's used in industry. It's used, you can take colloidal silver and colloidal gold, monoatomic silver, monoatomic gold. Look up the Meta Center Chicago. They have it right now. Use my code DRKIA 2024. It's an old code, but you'll get 11% off. And use that at checkout. The Meta Center Chicago. We have gold and silver receptors in our brain. And because of that, you can take Meta Center Chicago. You can take monoatomic gold and silver. And also it fights against colds. Silver does. Colloidal monoatomic silver. If viruses, colds, it fights against it. A lot of people were taking it in 2020. I spent some time working for a university in West Virginia. And there you had a lot of blue people, and people was like, oh, it's because they interbred. Some of it was because of that, but some of it was because a lot of those people take silver, monoatomic and colloidal silver. So this is the Meta Center Chicago, where Dr. Delbert Blair was the master metaphysician. He's passed the baton now to Dr. Tony Vortex. Dr. Tony Vortex used to come on my show many times, especially last year, over the last 2 years. I'm going to put that in the comment section where you can get monoatomic gold, monoatomic silver, colloidal gold, colloidal silver. And they have a lot of products too, organic seeds and a lot of things. Use my code DRKIA 2024 and you'll get 11% discount. As all this stuff is happening, as state-sponsored banks can now operate independently, and they can issue out their own gold-backed currencies, people are empowering themselves by getting silver and gold. Sin says the banking system is now insolvent. Silver is now $78.79. Silver is skyrocketing. Wow. So the actual price for silver in Shanghai is $83. Wow. Oh, thank you for that. So you're going to see a lot happening behind the scenes. But as you see silver and gold come up, you know that the Federal Reserve Central Banking System, the United States Incorporated, they're losing their power. They're already bankrupt and insolvent, and already banks can operate independently from them and issue out their own gold-backed currency. And already 46 states that we know of look at this article. I put it in the description section and the comment section. They've reclaimed silver and gold as money, 46 states in America. Now we have 4 left. It should happen by the beginning of 2026. We already know we had the Pope to do a ritual called the 2025 Jubilee. We already heard of NESARA DESARA, the National Economic Security Reformation Act, and the global version of that passing into law, and how that's supposed to eliminate the United States government and all 444 agencies. But just in case they decided they weren't going to do it or do it fast enough, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine, which means that they limited the powers of the government, called the United States government, all their agencies unlawful and treasonous. And that's why Trump tasked Elon Musk with DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. We also know that the government may shut down again in January. So get food, supplies, whatever you need, just in case. Prepare your hearts and your minds, save a little money or downsize, or decide what bills going to get paid and which aren't. Okay. Beans, rice, canned goods, whatever. Call your family together. The government could shut down. We don't know if it will, but they haven't passed the budget yet. And they told us when they reopened the government for holiday season that it could shut down again January 31st. Don't get too comfortable with these entitlement benefits. Plan for a way to take care of each other, because things are happening. If you want silver and gold, and you can either go to your local coin dealer, you can go to a pawn shop. They also sell currencies, pawn shops, and some local coin shops. You can go to an antique shop and get you some sterling silver. You can get you some silver jewelry from a pawn shop, gold jewelry, still silver and gold. You can get you some constitutional silver, or you can contact my affiliate, Miles Franklin, at 952-929-7006, or send them an email to info@milesfranklin.com. And that's it for today, family. Thank you all so much for all you've done. Thank you for all the Cash App blessings that you sent me to $ Mama Kia 13, MAMAKIA 13, Sister Regina, Hakeem, Chief Mac. I didn't even know you sent me something. Thank you, Chief Mac. Jerron, Kay, and Lisa sent me something. So thank you so much, family. I hope that I've said something to let you know what's going on in the deep state and all over the world. The world is changing. We are climbing the mountain. We're making it to the golden age. We've already entered the golden age. Okay. And right now, as I speak, I see silver at $78.64, gold still at $4,530, but that's still up by $50 within the last day. So that's it, family. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Thank you for all your blessings. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your time. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend and a happy Friday. You know I'm going to come back, okay? But in the meantime, have a very glorious Friday. Yay! And enjoy your family. Make sure you plan for your future. The Bible says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, and the wealth of the wicked is laid up or stored up for the righteous. So it's happening. They're accumulating their wealth and confiscating it for all their crimes against humanity, family, and everything's going to be returned back to us. That's it, family. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Go out and make this a wonderful day. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope that I've said the vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Go out and make this a great day, family.
Dr. Kia Pruitt, shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul Tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Soul Tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul Tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
Bye bye, Soul Tribe. Go and make this a great day. Happy Friday. Yay! Silver is almost $70 an ounce. Go to your local dealer or call Miles Franklin at 952-929-7006 and let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you so you can get the best prices in the industry. Also consider getting sterling silver or some gold bags or some jewelry, constitutional silver, or anything you can get your hands on, or foreign currencies, because all currencies that have been devalued or had gone through some type of issue because of sanctions or war, they will be revalued. They will not only be reinstated back to their pre-war and pre-sanction values, but they will also be revalued based on all of the resources that these countries have. One of the countries I just talked to you about earlier in this podcast was Venezuela, who has agreements with Burkina Faso and other African nations that have gold, who have agreed to exchange the oil from Venezuela for the gold. That's therefore bypassing the United States dollar. As all these nations drop the dollar, people rush to now the dollar keeps devaluing. As silver and gold goes up in value, that means that the dollar is losing its value. More people, everyday people, not just banks and governments, are going to rush to silver and gold. Get what you can. And even if it's not in your budget, just do what you can, because if everybody just gets 1 ounce of silver, we alone will have stood in our sovereignty. We will have made a stance and we will crash the dollar, because we're saying we no longer have any faith or value in the dollar, the United States dollar. You can always do stuff like barter. Learn how to barter. Hone your skills. You're a hairdresser, you cook, you're a chef, you're a designer, you make clothes, you fix clothes, you're a tailor, you know how to prepare cars, you know how to have your own bank by having the money in the bank. You can be the family bank, you do hair, whatever you do, you can exchange your service for somebody else's service. Because when a metal hits the road, and if everything were to collapse and crash, if the government closed down and didn't open for some time, you could still make it. because you will have done what you need to do to barter with your neighbor. Learn how to love each other and get along and have peace with one another so that we can barter and trade with each other. Learn how to clean your water, learn how to get certain filters, learn how to do all these things. Let's start educating our own children at home or create our own schools. Or if you're going to have a public school, then participate there. But you know what they're doing now? They're telling parents they can't even come into schools and volunteer, and you can't even come in the building. They stop you at the door. First, you have to have your ID at the door before they ring you in, and then they stop you at the door. You don't know what's going on in the gym, in the bathrooms, in the classrooms, or the hallways, and they don't have cameras in the schools in many places. So, family, take control of your life. Be sovereign. You're not a slave, you're sovereign. You have rule, reign, and all that over your own life and over your own family and your own monetary system. I love you, family. I hope I said enough to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Thank you, Nikala, for the Cash App blessing, and Sister Regina. God bless you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Have a great day as well. Happy Friday and happy weekend. I want to go, but here's this. Who is that? Rose said, by the way, I just checked silver and it's now $79. And by the way, on the Julian calendar, Christmas is on January the 7th, 2026. All right. Thank you so much for that. Peace and blessings, family. I'm out. Bye-bye.